Welcome back. Thank you for waiting again. So we're moments away from getting our League of Legends match set up against Tiffin University. If you weren't with us earlier, our Rocket League team played against Tiffin and they did get 0-3, so they did not come out on top of that. But our Overwatch team was able to 2-0 Tiffin. So congratulations to the Overwatch team. That was their first win, so a great job by them. So now we're going to see if our League of Legends team can also pull off a victory.
Yeah, no, the Overwatch, it was a great match we saw between them. Both teams did a really good job. Marietta was just able to pull the victories each time, so it was really good there. We've seen some good stuff from the Marietta League of Legends team here. The past few weeks, there's been wins, there's been losses both, so I'm very interested to see how they pair up here against Tiffin.
All right, so we're still getting things set up with the lobby. So while we are waiting for that, we'll go ahead and get the roster up for the League of Legends team. So in the top lane, we'll have MC Cressman, Scott Cressman. In the jungler, we have MC Knox, Lucas Stanford. In mid lane, we'll have MC Larson, Brandon Larson. And AD carry will be MC Brimstone, Ian Darling. And then at support will be MC Cowboy, David Stratton. So this will be a best of 3 series. Marietta has chosen to go blue side first.
Okay.
So we'll see how that affects bans and picks. So we haven't started that up yet. So once we get that up and going, we'll get that to you. We will be using the League of Legends Pro Draft site. I know we talk about this each week, but the reason behind it is if some players have limited champion pools, that would want to make sure that that's not a factor when trying to come up with the order of champions are selected. So for example, if your support player has a limited champion pool, then and you want to save your mid lane pick for last, well, you've essentially limited the champion pool for your mid laner.
Yes.
So with Pro Draft, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, they can go through and pick exactly what they want and who they want to play or who they want to ban and not be limited in any fashion. So that's good.
All right, so I think we have the lobby just about set up. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Pro Draft because that could be starting any time now.
We'll show that while we get ready for that. As far as the season so far for the league, how is the Marietta team faring right now?
Overall, I mean, I think they're 2-3 right now in the conference. They've had some good wins. There were some tough losses, and I think part of it was just some mistakes that are being made. So let me double check here.
So hopefully we have them working this time, going together and making sure they're getting objectives, making sure they're watching Dragon, Baron, getting the towers, if they can get the plating to get that extra gold there, but also not overextending too far to where they get picked off, making sure they're allowing their jungler some room to be able to come in, help them get ganks and things like that too. So I'm hoping to see some decent team fights throughout this. The question is hopefully, does either team start steamrolling and getting too strong early on, or are we going to see kind of a balanced match back and forth between these two teams? We saw Tiffin's Overwatch team. They didn't get steamrolled by Marietta. It was fairly close. They were able to do some decent team fights and stuff. It's just Marietta was able to counter a lot of those. So are we going to have a fairly close match this time with Tiffin and Marietta in League of Legends, or is it going to start favoring one of the teams early on?
I think we'll just kind of see it. A lot of it's going to come down to how does the early game go? So can they keep up on farm? Can they get the early objectives? Can they get the first blood, the first dragon, the first tower? That's one of the things that we've been emphasizing with our team the whole time is first blood, first tower, first dragon. Not necessarily in that order, but to try to aim for those things. And it looks like we're already seeing things starting off with the ban phase. So we already see Irelia and Kled being banned.
Kled has been a popular one for the other teams lately just because of our top laner really enjoys playing Kled.
Cressman has been playing a lot of it, so they do not want to go up against the Kled. We see Marietta playing the Vladimir, and the Ari gets banned, so we won't see Larson. That's another one of Larson's favorite champions. And maybe the fact that I keep saying those are their favorite champions, is probably affecting their choices, because if they're watching the matches, they're probably going, oh, he's saying that's their favorite champions. We should probably ban them.
It's possible.
Maybe I should say something like, Amumu is Nox's favorite champion. You should ban Amumu or something like that. We actually had one time. Okay, so we see the Thresh being banned. Remind me to tell about the story about Amumu when we get into the spectator delay.
All right,
there's a very funny story
about that
with that
later on.
And we see the Silas being banned by Tiffin, so they do not want to go up against Silas at all.
Did we see any focus here so far on either side as far as what lanes maybe they're worried about right now? Thresh typically support. Vlad's typically a top laner nowadays.
Although I've seen mid, it's kind of hard to tell because like both Irelia and Vladimir are kind of flex. Like they could be top or mid.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if maybe they're targeting a particular player because they've been studying Tiffin's roster just as Tiffin's been able to study our roster. So maybe they saw something in one of the players playing a lot of Irelia or Vladimir and decided they don't want to go up against that. Or maybe it's a particular comp that they're running and decided we don't want this champion to counter our comp.
Gotcha. So on the Tiffin side of bans, it seems kind of multiple lanes right here, right? Mm-hmm. So looks like they're just kind of taking out maybe like the things they are scared of the most from each team right now. But we'll see here. But Tiffin does choose the combo of Rakan and Xayah for their ADC and support right off the bat. I mean, they have really good synergy between the two of them. Those characters are made to be played together. So we'll see what we end up with against them, which we see the Jinx and Leona combo, which Marietta has played many times in the past league matches throughout the weeks.
Yeah, Jinx Leona it is a very strong dual lane combo, and I think they're using that to counter the Xayah Rakan. So a very good pick there. And we see the Zed coming out for Tiffin. I believe Tiffin's mid laner has played Zed in previous games. And I think I guess they're not concerned about that. So they probably have decided to let that go. Now we see the Akali being banned by Tiffin. So
we're looking at probably what's going to happen is an AP top laner then, since you're going to be having Zed in the mid lane. So having Vlad be banned is typically an AP top lane you're going to be having. I've seen Akali go top lane as well, but that was a ban on the Tiffin side. But Akali is also fairly strong against Zed in the mid lane.
Although Marietta decided to ban out the Darius. And Tiffin's really focusing on Larson now, trying to limit his champion pool, because we see pretty much 4 bans for the mid lane. I mean, every now and then you see like a Lissandra top or a Akali top, as you said, but it's not that often. So they are trying to limit Larson's champion pool. Although, if I remember correctly, he does have a pretty diverse champion pool. We see the Xin Zhao coming out for Tiffin. Interesting.
I would imagine most likely for a jungler.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a
top laner. Yeah, I don't think so either. So let's see here. We do need a top lane and a mid lane then for Marietta. And I imagine we're going to see a top lane pick first here.
What's nice about the way they've had this set up, so Marietta was able to counterpick the
ADC.
The ADC, and now they're going to have a chance to counterpick the mid lane. So the only one that's going to be vulnerable is top. So they're going to go with the Syndra against the Zed. So it's going to be, what does Cressman feel comfortable playing top, knowing that he's probably going to get counterpicked? So I know he's playing some different types of champions, but I honestly don't know what he'll decide to go with here. I mean, they have to anticipate an AP top laner, otherwise they can just stack up armor. But
Shen.
They're going to go.
I was thinking about a Shen. We've seen his Shen played in the past games a few times. It's a very good choice. Having the teleport and the ulti both, he can get around the map a good bit. And we see Jax being picked to go against Shen.
So this is interesting. So right now there is no AP on Tiffin's side. So they're going all AD. So the question is, can Marietta capitalize on that? I mean, Jax can be very scary up top. If you let him get a couple kills and get ahead, that attack speed is just going to run away with the rest of the game. But we'll just kind of see how that plays out. Looks like both sides are ready, so we'll go ahead and just go into champion select so you can actually see that. Let me get the audio up and running here.
We'll see the bands and everything coming through again that we already saw play through. But no, as you were saying with Jax, like once he gets that attack speed up with a little bit of damage, he can tear through teams, he can tear through towers, be split pushing. There's a few things he can do with just getting a little bit on him to where he just starts whacking away at stuff with his little staff.
Although what's nice with the Shen is he can also do that split pushing as well, because I'm going to guess that Crest was going to go with teleport for Shen. I mean, which top laner does not go teleport? So you got the teleport, you got the ulti. So he has that global presence, so he can come in anytime. So he can split push, and if there's like a big fight going on in mid lane or bot lane, he can teleport right in, whether it's his ult or his teleport. So very good split pusher. But I do think that top lane matchup is going to be crucial in this game, if I were to predict. Although I predict poorly. I am no crumbs, I am no prophets, but
I understand.
That's my prediction.
The thing I'm curious on here is having a full AD team here. not having too much AP, they don't need to really build up much shield against, the magic. They need armor. The more that gives them an opportunity to build more armor items and not worry about an AP character coming through and destroying them. So Marietta could use that to their advantage and make sure they build up a little bit of armor to be able to combat these guys, but still just build up their damage, instead of having to build another armor set.
Right, so we'll have to take a look at keep an eye on their itemization as the game progresses to see if they recognize that and actually put in some extra armor to help defend against team fights. Because I think that could make a huge difference if they're able to mitigate a lot of the damage that Tiffin's dishing out. So
we're looking at what's the thorn armor, right? Does that still work the same as it used to back whenever I play, where the more damage they take from AD, it dishes it back as well?
Thorn, I think it's just anytime you take damage, it's not so much about how much damage you take, but just the fact that you do hit.
It does damage back. But that's based on, if you have AD characters that are all having to do an individual attack rather than a spell that does a chunk of damage, you're going to have several attacks coming through. That may be something that maybe Shin might want to look at.
Yeah, something like that going against a Jax that has that attack speed. So every time he's trying to whack Jax or Jack Shen with his lamppost or whatever, depending on the skin he has, I guess. He's just going to keep killing himself in the process. But we do see the team is set up. And what's interesting here is Zed is going Ignite and Syndra is going Barrier.
Okay.
I find that interesting. Like, I know like the meta around like mid laners kind of going with teleports as well, but it's just interesting that we're not seeing that double teleport comp from either side.
True, yeah. I would say maybe with the Syndra thing, if Zed's ulti goes off on her, it kind of helps maybe to give a little bit of resistance against the damage that's going to be coming through for that ulti. Because it doesn't trigger right away once it comes through, once he activates it. It happens slightly after.
You see the mark, so you can have it like a second to prepare for it. So as soon as he sees that big X on him,
you can slam on that button to get that barrier up and at least reduce some of the damage you might be taking. Maybe you can survive it.
Yeah, that's true. So that may be exactly why they're doing that. All right, so we still got about 2.5 minutes.
We have about 2.5 minutes right now before we'll be in the game. So in the meantime, we did have an Amumu story.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes, the Amumu story. All right, so last year we were in the pre-CLOL season as part of CSL, just kind of getting some games with other teams to prepare for the CLOL in the spring. And during one of the band pick phases, I don't know if there was a bug or something, but our team accidentally selected Amumu and called it out right away.
Okay.
So usually, like, whenever you have like an accidental pick like that under LCS rules, if that happens and the other team has not selected their next champion, you can recreate the game, pick everything up to that point.
Choose all the same stuff.
Except for that last thing. The other school was like, no, you have to go with Amumu. You picked, like, they would not allow Marietta to change it. So they picked the Amumu and they won with Amumu.
Amumu, it's a fun character for jungle with his bandage, his crying and stuff. You get some armor on him and just have his tears just doing damage while he's just running around, just doing what he does.
Yeah,
he's a fun character to play.
He is, but it's just not one of the top tier junglers right now, or even last year when it was being played. But it's kind of an inside joke.
Now the question with that is, like, was he a turning point in the game, and was he one of the reasons they won, or was he just like they did win with Amumu on their team?
Well, that was when Larson was jungling. I was telling you before that he was a jungler before he was the mid for us, and he was a really good jungler. So there were some fights where I think the Amumu ult coming in did make a difference. Now, would they have won faster if they had a different jungler? Perhaps, but there were some times where I think the Amumu did make a difference.
That's fun. I just want to picture like the other team being like, no, you got to play Mumu, and they're like, how do you handle Mumu? I go, no, I don't know, and then no one ever plays him. So it just
they're probably just this is a Mumu. This is like they probably thought it was a free win because no one picks a Mumu. Mumu's bad, and like he's all lonely and cries all the time. What is he going to do to us? Just put the wrap, jump in there, cry, and then use his ulti to wrap everyone, and then they all die, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. No, and depending on the team comp there, you get everyone kind of stuck in place for a minute. And you can tear down some teams with that.
Yeah, so be careful what you ask for. You just might get it.
And what we're about to get right here is our delay has ended. We're going to be going into the game here of League of Legends and begin watching this Marietta versus Tiffin, the first of a best of 3 series for League of Legends.
Yeah, so as soon as we get that up and get the all the UI stuff set up, we will get that to you. And then we'll have to adjust a couple things because I don't think, Tiffin's definitely not an LCS war, so I got to get that adjusted. It was almost an LCS war. So I was looking here, it's like, oh, maybe they did get it in order, but no, they didn't. Their jungler and top are flip flopped, unless that's a top Xin Zhao with Smite, which I really don't think that's going to be the case.
No, I don't think so either.
No,
we do see that the staff that Jax has is apparently a god staff.
Okay, so it's not going to be the lamppost this time.
So it will not be a lamppost at all.
Okay. All right, so hold on, folks. I know it says game in progress. Let me get the UI here set up for you guys, and then we'll get that swapped over.
There's penguins.
All right, so here we go. Game 1, Marietta College versus Tiffin University. Marietta's on the red side. Marietta's on the blue side. Sorry, and Tiffin's on the red side. So, as I said, the key things that we need to take a look out for this game: Shen versus Jax. See that matchup, and does the lack of AP from Tiffin make a difference in this game?
Yeah. Can Marietta capitalize on that and use it to their advantage to be able to win team fights? It might not make much of a difference maybe in lane, but the one thing too that you can look at is like, hey, all these guys are AD. If I build, armor to, counter the AD they have, it's going to help me against everybody on their team later on anyway, as opposed to building AD in a lane and not having any magic resist for the mid laner later on.
Right, and the other thing that we're noting with the lack of the AP, if you take a look at the champions that Tiffin has, only like Xin Zhao and then maybe a little bit with Xayah actually has that splash AoE damage. Like, Jax is a very single target person. Zed's a single target person, unless he gets like right on top of people with a shadow to do a little bit of AoE around him. Xayah has the feathers and can pull the feathers back and maybe catch a couple people. But I don't really see any like major AoE. So maybe they're kind of going for an all-in, pounce on one person, pick them off type composition.
That's possible. You get Xin Zhao to jump in there and get those 3 hits to knock one person up, and you get everyone to target that person. And, if they're a tank or whatever, hopefully you can destroy them, and then it's a 4v5 instead of a 5v5.
So we see that both sides start with their red side jungle. Usually in the red side you would start with your blue side jungle, but Xin Zhao decided to start otherwise. At least I think so.
Yeah, and we do see a little bit of invading here with Xin Zhao coming in here, sitting in the bushes, watching for that Jarvan, and it looks like he may be getting ready to see him here.
Trying to remember what the key... doesn't look like it.
So he got some... there you go. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the hotkeys were to go from one champion to the other. I thought it was like the F keys, but no, it's just the normal keys. But yeah, so we see... Okay, at least I thought...
Yeah.
Okay, that's our side. How do we get their side? Okay, it's shift. There we go. I've been doing this for like 7 weeks, and I finally, over a year, and I finally figured out the hotkeys.
Now we know the hotkeys.
Okay.
So we have a little bit of vision there in the Marietta jungle for Tiffin.
Actually, I think I hit the wrong hotkey. There we go, because it only showed Tiffin's vision. But actually, we do see that with those invasives you're talking about, that they had some early wards, so they were able to spot out where Nox was pathing. So that told Tiffin when they can push and when they need to back off. But now those wards have faded.
And speaking of backing off, we see Shin up there. Hopefully he gets vision of this Xin Zhao, which I believe he does. I think he has a ward in the bush right now. So Xin Zhao was coming up the river there towards top lane. Shin pulled back just enough because of that one ward he has there. So
yeah, and then we saw that Xayah was able to get some good damage onto Leona. So he's got to be a little careful there because he's still got a health potion left.
We may see Xin Zhao coming into the mid lane after Syndra. Syndra having to pull back into the river to try to get away, but we do have cover from Jarvan to give a little bit of support. We see Xin Zhao going on to Syndra, but we get a Jarvan to knock him away while Syndra can get the first blood in mid lane. So the gank kind of falls flat. We do see bot lane going in. A lot of damage going on to Jinx, but Jinx maybe able to get out of there while Leona takes a little bit of damage trying to make sure she can escape. No deaths down in the bot lane, just the one so far of Xin Zhao, which gives Jarvan a little chance to kind of get in, get some vision of the jungle on Xin Zhao. Side.
And we also see several summoners were burned in that bot lane skirmish. Brimstone had to bot both his heal and his flash to escape because he actually got down pretty low, even though he was putting some good damage onto Xayah. Xayah popped her heal, and Rakan popped the Ignite, which actually helped with getting Jinx very low and had to force the flash to get away. So yeah, so although no kills, there were summoner trades. And we see another gauge going on to Rakan and Xayah, and Nox is there to help. And Rakan has to burn his flash to get away. And
Cowboy almost takes too much damage from that tower, barely escaping.
Yeah, he had to pop his flash as well to get out of that. Yeah, so that was very risky, and it was just an exchange of flashes from the supports.
Yeah, lots of damage in the bot lanes to both sides, but no secured kills during that. So we'll see how that affects them with their XP and leveling here, because they may lose some farm depending on when they want to go back here. We do see, though, that Jarvan has been able to take a small lead because of that death that Xin Zhao had. So we'll see if maybe Jarvan can capitalize on that and get an early lead against the other jungle.
Yeah, he's even a little bit ahead in CS as well, so he's been able to do well with farming. We see a bit of a ping going out in the mid lane, so I think that's just more to kind of watch out for
the tower there. So far, top lane has been staying pretty even between Shin and Jax here. Both of them actually around the same amount of health right now. It looks like Jax finally choosing to go back, which may give Shin a little bit of opportunity to be able to get some extra CS and a little bit of gold before he returns back as well.
Yeah, and we even see in the bot lane the CS is pretty much dead even at this point. So I think the big difference there is just going to be whenever those gank attempts or engages happen.
Yeah, most lanes right now are fairly even in their CS and their farm. The biggest difference is between the junglers right now. But, I mean, 44 to 43, 35 to 33. I mean, none of these lanes are very split in their farm.
Although the big difference is with the jungler, and that first blood extra gold is the reason why that Marietta is ahead by just almost 1,000 gold 6.5 minutes in, which is pretty decent amount. And we see, it looks like the Shen ult. Oh, no, that wasn't Shen ult. That was Leona's shield. Sorry, it looked like the Shen ult. And actually, Brimstones gets a double kill during that skirmish, so a very good engage. Actually, no, I lied. That was a Shen ult.
It was a Shen. Leona engaged there with a Shen ult coming down as well. And then with them both down, Shen was able to also use his taunt, and they were able to secure 2 kills and then open up for Dragon here.
I know where I messed up. So I was correct when I thought it was a Shen ult. I was looking at Shen, I was like, his teleport's still up. It's not the teleport, it's his ult. But yeah, so very good play there, coordinating with Brimstone and Crespin. So yeah, so getting the 3v2 gank attempt with a double kill and securing the first Drake. So just very well executed by the Pioneers.
Yeah, giving some kills there to bot lane, some assists to top lane, and also giving Dragon to everybody. So that's a good lead for Marietta here.
Well, I mean, Jinx is one of those hyper carries. You get her going, and she's going to do some insane damage later on. You want to get that Jinx going. So having those 2 kills is going to make a difference. And we see the gank attempt going onto the Zed. The Cataclysm go out, and Zed had the flash to get out of that.
It was a good attempt at a gank. They had a stun, and they had Jarvan jumping in there trying to stop him from being able to get back. But at least he was able to burn his flash. But at the same time, Jarvan uses Cataclysm. So Shen's doing a good job making sure he has his dash whenever Jax uses his dodge right before the stun. So he'll be chasing him down. He's able to dash away before the stun comes through. So it's been really close up top, and as far as farm and everything. But Jax has taken the lead since Shen left earlier to do his gank on the bot lane.
Right. So hopefully Shen will be able to get his CS a bit back up, and he also has the 2 assists. So that's some extra gold there that's not being considered. In fact, if we were to take a look. He looks like Jax is ahead by about 300 gold, and that's just from the extra CS. So hopefully Shen will be able to catch up, or at least not get too far behind and not let Jax kind of run over the lane.
Yeah, at least he was able to get those assists, because if that would have came out to be nothing, he would be even further behind. So it was a good play on their part there. We do see bot lane here with Zenzao hiding in the bushes. I don't know if Marietta knows that he's there, but we do have Zed also coming into Marietta's jungle down the bot lane as well. So we have 4 players down bot lane.
Zed was pinged out, so I think Marietta is anticipating the dive. So we're going to see the gank attempt in the top lane onto Jax.
But it looks like there may be also a dive here coming in to the bot lane as well at the same time.
And Jax just gets away by just a sliver of health. That had to be single digits. And actually, Tiffin doesn't get anything in the bot lane.
I thought there was going to be a dive there since they had 4-2. And there's Zenzao was there as well, maybe to swap in, tanking that bottom tower.
I mean, they knew too from Marietta was up top, so you would think, okay, this is the time to go in, because like who else is going to go down to defend him? But they hesitated for some reason. Maybe they saw something they didn't like. I don't know what it is, but they just chose not to capitalize on the dive.
I mean, the only person they didn't know location-wise was Sendra, who was back at base at the time, but you knew that, hey, there's our top laner with the teleport, and our jungler who roams is already top lane as well, so he won't be involved in that. So the only person they'd have to worry about was Sendra, but no, they didn't even really dive and do much damage to them, because they're still at full health right now.
Yeah, so that actually, because of that, allowed Larson to get a pretty good lead on CS. And we see the ult coming in for Zed, and the barrier. There's the barrier that we were talking about before, and actually no, that's the Shen ult again. Oh, barrier was popped too. It's barrier and Shen
Barrier
ults.
went down as well to help with that ulti, and then the Shen ulted because of the 2 people there, but then they backed off as soon as that Shen ult popped up. So there were no deaths there. A lot of damage done to Syndra. We see Jarvan though going after Zenzao here, trying to either take his farm or to take him.
So there'll be any follow, because it looks like Zed's going to be pinging straight for the Jarvan. If I can hit the right keystroke.
We see Zed coming up behind Jarvan though. Syndra following up behind Zed. Meanwhile, top lane is still duking it out right here. Syndra doing a lot of damage to Zed, but Zed able to just barely get away. He'll be back and getting back to base to try to refill his health here.
But that will allow Larson to continue to CS and push the mid tower. And we see Shen getting very low as well. He's got to be very careful, because I don't think Jax would try to go for a dive.
Oh, and Shen manages to get that taunt onto Jax and seal the deal there. I thought that Jax had just enough health that he might be able to take out Shen, but no, the top lane Cressman took care of that very well.
It was a great move. Utilizing taunt, and that would force the tower to actually attack Jax and let that finish him off. So there's your 200 level IQ play there.
Yeah, no, it was done very well. Even as low as health as he was, just doing that taunt meant that he was going to do some basic attacks and not do any of his special dodges or anything like that, where he could avoid tower hits or avoid Shen's attacks as well. So it was a very good play. So that gives Shen his first kill, and that may help close in that gold gap since he's so far behind right now in CS. But
yeah, so right now, 12 minutes in the game, Marietta is up by, looks like about 15, 20, about a little over 1,500 gold.
Okay. Which
is pretty good. And that does close the gap a little bit in the CS difference in the top lane, although Shen did back out. It looks like Maria's going to go for the dragon.
Zed's mid lane right now. They just back bot lane. Zenzao's backing out right now. He's like, I'm not even going to try.
There's no vision. If you take a look at the river, the only ward that Tiffin has is that bottom tri-bush. So they didn't have really any vision of what... Okay, they had the one ward right there, but...
Yeah, the one thing I would say is maybe the, Syndra, I think they saw come down from the lane. Also, Zenzao should have seen Leona go up and place a ward there by his blue buff. So he kind of just let that happen and didn't really try to do anything about it. So there may have been a few little clues that maybe they could have looked at to try to see that, oh, there might be a dragon happening here, but...
Yeah, it's the second time we noticed some hesitation by Tiffin to go in to make a play. It's almost like they're afraid to make a play. But, I mean, I could be mistaken. They just maybe... I mean, I do say they did have some words, so they kind of had at least an idea of what was going on, but maybe they just didn't like the matchup, but they conceded the dragon, so Marietta now has 2 Cloud Drakes.
Yeah, I mean, Zed was coming down, and bot lane was coming down as well, but Zenzao, I mean, against 4 people may not have been the best choice to go in there anyway.
That's true. Although we see Jax was actually got taunted and took 2 tower hits because of that taunt.
And we see Jarvan coming in to secure that kill. I don't know why Jax was coming down to the river, maybe try to get some vision, but it was not the best time to do that as low as he was.
And that will allow Jarvan. Well, I thought he was going to start the Rift Herald, but I guess he decided not to.
And he was just clearing out a little vision and stuff around here, making sure. They
Yeah.
might try to here soon because it's going to be disappearing here in a minute, I believe, right?
No, you're thinking of the turret plating.
Okay.
And I think that's already. I think that just disappeared.
That just disappeared at 14
Yeah,
minutes. So here we have about 6 more minutes until...
Right. Yeah, Rift Herald will disappear when the Baron comes out. So I think they're going to try to get the first tower up in the top lane. Although we do see Jax teleporting in. So that will cause Marietta to back off a little bit. But I think if they get another kill like in the mid or top lane, then they may try to go for the Rift Herald after that.
We haven't seen much as far as Xin Zhao right now. He had that 1 death earlier on, and so far he's been trying to just kind of build up some CS. Not too much has been going on with him. So
yeah, so he's level 8, so he can come in and use this all anytime, but he just hasn't really been a factor in this game yet. But yeah, you're right. We haven't seen too many gank attempts, but
maybe if we get a little bit more presence from Xin Zhao, some things may turn a bit. But as of right now, as long as he's kind of staying back, trying to farm up and get his level, he was trying to catch back up, I think is what was going on. So he's been kind of out of the game for a little bit.
Well, trying to be as unbiased as possible. I don't mind him just kind of sitting in the backlines and not try to do any gank attempts, but that's just me. I may or may not have a personal stake in this matter.
Alright, so bot lane continuing to farm. It's still fairly close in farm right there. It's not too big of a gap. Meanwhile, we have Rift Herald will be taken with Syndra and Jarvan. We do see Zed come up and get some vision on that. Top lane is still kind of battling it out. Shin just trying to make sure Jax doesn't come down, but we do have Zed coming in trying to maybe get a sneak kill on this Rift Herald. He tries but does not succeed because of the smite.
And we do see an engage going on in the bot lane. So Xayah is trying to get some damage onto Leon. It takes about a little over half health.
You see them kind of re-engaging again here onto the Rakan. They do manage to take out Rakan. Meanwhile, mid lane, they have another battle going on here. Syndra getting dangerously low right in between the Xin Zhao and the Zed. Syndra will have their first death, while Jarvan stayed a little too long and will die as well to Xin Zhao.
Yeah, so we do get a 2-for-1 trade in several lanes, but this is going to give the bot lane a chance to push and jump and dive onto Xayah and get the kill.
So we do have two deaths down bot lane. We also had 2 deaths in the mid lane for Marietta. We'll see if this maybe turns into anything for the tower, but I don't believe so because we do have the minion wave coming in right now. Jinx going to try to clear what they can, but a lot of damage going to be coming into the mid lane tower though.
Yeah, Tiffin's going to be pushing for that mid tower, and they might end up getting first tower because they still have that Canyon minion. It's just now going out, so the first tower will go to Tiffin. Although Marietta was so close to getting the first tower, just a second off.
One blew up, and then the other one blew up immediately after. So it was very close to that first tower being Marietta's, but they did go tower for tower. They also ended up going 2 for 2 as far as kills. But Marietta did get the Rift Herald as well, so we may see that being utilized here, maybe in the mid lane, which has less damage on it right now than the top lane does. Yeah,
or they may just use it in the top lane to finish off the tower, just to guarantee that it goes down. But we'll see. This has a little time, so it's just a matter of when they want to utilize it. In fact, Cloud Drake's going to be up in 10 seconds. A third Cloud Drake for this game.
If Marietta gets a third Cloud Drake.
So I think it looks like they're going to be going for that first, and then I can see them then kind of rotating to one of the other lanes to push with the Rift Herald. So maybe get Cloud Drake, then push to mid lane. But we may be looking at a team fight around the Dragon Pit.
Now, I don't believe Shen has his ulti or his teleport up right now, so we won't be seeing him join in at all. We do see Cloud Drake going down to Marietta, so they do get that third Cloud Drake. And then Tiffin looks like they back off. Yeah, not wanting to fight that team fight. They did pretty well with picking off a few people and catching them off guard, but a team fight Tiffin may not be ready for just yet.
And we do see in the mid lane the Rift Herald being summoned, so they will push it, and they should be able to get this tower down. They don't even need the Rift Herald, so he was about to charge it. It's like, oh, never mind. It's already down.
So we'll have a fresh Rift Herald coming in here, getting ready to charge the second tier tower. Probably getting some good damage onto it here.
Yeah,
and it goes down. So they got a charge on it at least. So
yes.
But they do get a top lane tower, I believe, as well. Shin just finished off that. So all tier 1 towers for Tiffin are down right now, with half of it down for the tier 2 mid.
Yeah, so Marietta's putting together a pretty strong performance, and with the triple Cloud Drake, they're going to have a lot of movement speed to be able to chase down or disengage if they need to. So now they're starting to invade Tiffin's jungle to see what they can take away. So they were able to take away their red buff and maybe get some... I don't see a whole lot of vision. Okay, there is one control where I was like, say, please get some vision while you're there.
Yeah, they did place one ward over there just behind the red buff, but not much else besides that there. So now with all these towers down, pushing here, we may be seeing a little bit more grouping happening here.
All right, so the question is what to push for next. I mean, you still got the inner towers in all 3 lanes, but what you don't, one of the things that's been emphasized is you don't want to stall. You don't want to just ARAM it in the mid lane and just try to kill farm and not really go for anything. So we see that the top lane is now swapped to the bot lane. But it's just a matter of can they continue the split push in the bot lane while they try to get something to either the top or mid lane. But Marietta should always be trying to go for something.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, you're going to be playing against the clock, because the longer you wait it out, you have that gold advantage right now, you have that lead, but the longer you wait it out, the more their leveling is going to catch up, and the more their items are going to catch up, to where you're going to even out the playing field rather than having that extra advantage.
Right, so you want to take that lead and try... I mean, League of Legends is a snowball game, let's just face it. That's just how it works. You get a lead, and you want to snowball that lead. And we're seeing some pings going on in the blue side jungle, so we may be getting to a fight. And 3 people get knocked up for Tiffin. That's a triple kill by Syndra. So that was just an excellent play there, just getting caught out. I mean,
they caught 3 of them. They were able to knock them up and then kind of sandwich them between the ones that were already in the jungle and Syndra coming in from the other side.
And this is the opportunity that Marietta needs. So they're going to jump right onto this. Xayah gets popped. And this may... So that inner tower goes down. And that's probably going to be an inhibitor tower as well.
Yeah, Jack's currently down bot lane. He's backing right now, trying to come back to maybe stop this inhibitor from also going down. We have Rakan coming up and Zinzao, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get there in time. There's a lot of damage coming out from this team.
No, they're able to get the inhibitor well. So now Marietta will back off. So just very well done by Marietta to be able to capitalize on that triple kill, getting 2 towers and an inhibitor. And now they just did exactly what we said. Take the lead and expand on that. So now we're talking about practically a 7,000 gold, about 6,000 gold lead. Let's be fair. A 6,000 gold lead, 21 and a half minutes into this game.
Yeah, and what do you do with that after you come back? You go back into their jungle. You take more of their stuff so they can't catch up. They continue to hinder their XP, their gold, and their ability to farm. So now they're going to have to push out further, either into lanes or into the enemy jungle, for Tiffin to even try to get caught up.
Yeah, we see that Tiffin's trying to prioritize some vision around the dragon bit because the Infernal Drake's going to be up in a minute, and they recognize that if they're going to try to come back from this game, they need more AP and AD. So they're trying to get that vision there so that way when the Drake comes up, they can try to take it and hope that that would give them that extra oomph they need to get back into this. Like, as we were talking before, let's take a look at the itemization for Marietta, because we were mentioned before about the lack of AP, if that was going to make a difference. And we see that for at least Shen and Jarvan, that they went with the ninja boots, the extra armor. So I do think that did make a little bit of a difference. We even see... Okay, it looks like we may see a fight going here onto the Rakan.
We have Zed and Rakan both here right now, running down by Drake. We see Zed going in with his ulti, but we see the hourglass being triggered here. Meanwhile, Jinx taken very low, but managed to secure the kill with Shin on the Zed. Continue coming in. They kind of funneled in there. Tiffin kind of came in there when they probably shouldn't have. They probably should let the Zed fall and backed off.
Right, yeah. They staggered in trying to get the kill, but they got punished with
Syndra's
wrong.
Yeah, with Syndra coming in there, the team fight was not falling well for them, so they kind of just fell one by one rather than pulling back to be ready to prepare for a defensive attack.
One of these days, I'm going to get Syndra and Symmetra right, but it's not today. And we see Mary is able to take the first Nexus Tower, and they might even try to close out the game here.
Well, we have about 5 seconds here for most of the team to be back. We do see the AD and the support back right now with Jax. I don't know that those 2 against these 5 will make much of a difference.
No, they're going to back off a little bit. They're going to respect Tiffin, but they're still kind of hanging around. They're just not inting just yet, although Rakan is very low on health, so they might try to go for the pick. and this the Syndra ult comes out and gets it very low. But now we see a couple kills going back and forth. The shutdown onto Syndra and another shutdown. So Marietta may have overextended their welcome now with 3 for the Pioneers down. Although Shen's not done yet, actually trying to get the double kill.
Shen stayed in. Jarvan went back in to help out with Shen, though, and he will fall, and the whole team will fall there. Maybe a little miscommunication where Jarvan started to finally back out, and then Shen stayed. So then Jarvan went back in, and when he went back in, Shen was leaving. But I think what happened there, too, was part of what we talked about. This team comp for Tiffin has a very heavy single attack kind of team comp here. So Zed was able to jump on a Jinx and take out one of their heavier DPSers for Marietta. So once Jinx was down, they then started to focus off, well, let's take care of Syndra, let's take care of, Jarvan or whoever, and they just kind of went through each one and just took them out one by one. So they need to make sure they watch out and try to protect each of their DPSers the best they can from this heavy, like, solo attack team.
Yeah, and they just... I thought they were going to respect Tiffin, but they did not respect it there. They just they took too long. They stayed there too long and got punished for it. And now we see the Infernal Drake coming out, and Tiffin's already backing out, and Marietta is going to start up the Infernal Drake.
We only had 3 there from Tiffin, so Zed and Jax were already back. So the whole team backed off because once the 2 were there, they assumed the rest of the team was coming, so they just kind of left it, which might have been the wiser decision, not losing 3 people there to leave 2 to defend an open Nexus.
Yeah, because if they had died there, that's game. Plain and simple, because there's nothing Tiffin would be able to do to defend that. So yeah, I mean, if you had to choose between losing the dragon and losing the game, you give up the dragon.
So what we'll probably be seeing here from Tiffin is much more of a, if they're doing these team-focused type fights, they're going to be probably focusing down an individual, like Jarvan coming here by himself. But it looks like they're trying to stay back. They don't want to engage anything just yet. But if Marietta overextends too much and they can actually pick off like a Jinx or a Syndra, that's going to be what they're really looking for.
Although it looks like Marietta is trying to eye the Baron. They're trying to keep the vision control over it and trying to zone out. And we do see the Rakan coming in with his ult. And the Leona Flash comes in, and so is the Cataclysm.
You see Zed jumping in on... I can't tell who it was, actually, but Jax finished off Syndra. We also see Zenzao going down by Shen, and a few other deaths going through on Marietta's side as well. So Shen's trying to back out. Leona's there, left all alone, trying to escape.
So right now, we're starting to see the flaws what Marietta's going with. So both of their both Syndra and Jinx went down, and that was the damage. And that's going to allow Tiffin to get the Baron. So Marietta's going to have to play smart now. They're getting a little sloppy. I think they got a little too overconfident after going for that Nexus. And the team fight there was it was sloppy, and they got punished for it.
You see Zed go down to Baron, but they do manage to capture Baron for 4 of their team. Oh, but there's a shutdown from Jinx doing an ulti, I believe, to kill off the Jax there at the Baron.
Yeah, so there you go.
There is 2 down, so there's only Baron on 3 of Tiffin's players, but that's still 3 Barons out on their team. So what we need to watch for is does Marietta start trying to make sure they're defending their heavier DPSers, because pretty much everybody on the Tiffin team can do damage. You need to watch out for Jax for sure. You need to watch out for Zed, and you need to watch out for Xayah.
And they're gonna go for picking off the Syndra and the Jinx. So you have to keep them protected. You got 3 frontliners with Leona, Shen, and Jarvan. So keep the backliners behind. Yeah. Although the Zed's going to try to come in from behind to take him out.
So ulti to shadow back there, take out. He's been focusing that Jinx almost every game. So if you've seen ulti going off from Zed, it's usually going on that Jinx.
Oh, we do see Marietta taking out the inhibitor, and Marietta's still going for the gates. Leona comes out onto Xayah, although Zed's in the back line.
And we do see Zed again jumping onto Jinx. Jinx will fall to Rakan. But we do see members of Tiffin dropping very low. Syndra almost dead as well. Syndra will go down. Meanwhile, the team fight kind of goes around here with Shen trying to do some more damage, but all the damage is gone from Marietta, and the tanks are all that's left, and they're going to slowly melt away.
And this is what's going to... and with that, the goal lead that Marietta had is pretty much gone. Because now Tiffin's only down by 1,000 gold. Yes, they have to deal with super minions. Most of the players with Baron buff are not there anymore, but even though Tiffin is being backed off, Marietta is struggling to get the picks they need. Meanwhile, their carries are getting ripped apart. So
One thing they could have done there as well is they didn't push in with their minions as well. They could have utilized that super minion and that minion wave to maybe help do a little bit of extra damage, or just absorb maybe some attacks by accident, even if they had a misclick or anything. Yeah. But no, Zed has been targeting that Jinx. So once that Jinx goes down and then that Syndra goes down, all you have are 3 tanks, and you don't have a ton of damage coming from those characters.
Yeah.
Even if you take out Xayah and Zed, Jackson, Zhao, and Rakan are still doing some damage to these tanks.
Yeah, what I'm afraid of is Marietta is seeing is this: they need one more team fight and they win this game, and they're trying to force the fights, and that's not going in their favor. They have to be smart, looking for the picks, and try to get someone picked off, and then try to go for the kills. But they just seem like they know they're really close to winning, but it's causing them to int almost. So in fact, we see the Jax jumping onto the Jarvan, he has to back away. And we see the stun onto the Jax, and the Rakan will go in. We see the Leona coming up, but nothing's connected. And Jinx is already down. So 2 for Marietta have already gone down.
Yeah, Zed shadowed in back behind and jumped on that Jinx and just melted her. So there was no ADC there to help do any of this damage here. So we're going to see Tiffin pulling away with only losing 1 player here.
And that's another team fight for Tiffin, and they just now taking control of this game.
Have we seen any changes in items-wise for Marietta? Because perhaps one of the things is maybe tossing a little bit of armor onto Jinx or Syndra to kind of help give them just a little bit more, a little armor, a little defense against all this ADC that they're getting hit with.
I see the hourglass onto Syndra, and it looks like a broken stopwatch, I think. Is it a broken stopwatch? I can't tell. Yeah, broken stopwatch for Jinx.
Because having something like that on Jinx as well, that Zed's jumping on her or Syndra. So you get them to hit that hourglass and freeze for a second to stop that ulti from hurting them. I mean, that's taking out a lot of Zed's damage right there. Not to say that he's not going to be full of damage anyway without his ulti, but that ulti can really hurt.
Yeah, so Marietta is now going to have to play more defensive now, because the game is now in Tiffin's control. Like, Marietta was in control for probably the first 20-25 minutes of the game, but just losing the team fights and letting their carries drop has now allowed Tiffin to take the lead. So Marietta is going to have to focus on protecting their carries if they're going to come back and win this game.
The turn really started to happen whenever they overstayed their visit at that Nexus after they took out the inhibitor. They took out the 2 towers, and then once that team fight kind of lost and they all fell, since then there was a little bit more gold coming into Tiffin, and they've been able to kind of make sure, hey guys, let's relook at how we're doing our team fights. Let's focus them down like our characters are good at.
And look at where the difference is. You got an 8-5-10 Jax with 245 CS. There's your reason. He was allowed to snowball, got his attack speed up. I mean, he's got the Triforce, he's got all sorts of attack speed items. He can basically take someone from 100 to 0 in just a matter of seconds, just by himself.
Yes. Jax can do that, as well as Zed can do that, especially if he has his ulti and there's no answer for that. Xin Zhao is their tankiest one right now, but even him, what he's building has some decent damage behind it too, so he can tank for a little bit, but if he jumps onto one of those carries, I mean, they're going to be falling apart as well.
Yeah, we see that Jinx is gone with the Guardian Angel, so that way if she does get popped, she will come back up.
That's a good choice, especially since that's one of the first ones they're going for. So now Tiffin's going to be looking at, hey, do we go for Jinx, even though she's going to pop back up anyway, and then we got to deal with her again, or do we focus on other people like the tanks, but they don't have as much damage? So Guardian Angel is a good choice, I think, for Jinx. It's also going to give a little bit more armor as well for her. So having some things like that is going to be a good, possibly a good counter for this team. We do see possibly a team fight coming in. Marietta may be getting collapsed on, but they kind of back off just in time. We have Baron about to come back up here, so...
I think that's what we're going to see next fight. We even see the Xayah with the Guardian Angel, so both AD carries do have the Guardian Angel, and it looks like they're trying to catch onto the Jax. He gets about half health, but will get away.
I mean, they can do a little bit of damage and turn a team fight into a 5v4. That may give Marietta just enough of a lead that they need. If you can take out Jax or Xayah or one of these heavy damage characters, I mean, you're really going to be helping your team fight overall.
So I think Marietta will just clear up the vision. I don't think they would start the Baron just yet. That would be way too risky, especially since Tiffin is back there. So we're probably going to be seeing a team fight any minute now. Or at least we're going to play the vision dance here with popping wards, getting rid of wards and back and forth.
We do have Jax down the bot lane, but he does currently have his teleport up, so he could join in at any moment.
And we see even Cressman in the top lane doing the same thing.
Yeah, it looks like Shin and Jax are going to be kind of split pushing a little bit on the sides, taking care of some minions. Meanwhile, there's going to be the Baron dance here in the red jungle. Both teams kind of looking around, trying to find the information they need, trying to find maybe a pick that they can get to kind of turn the tide. Just either team catching one of these off will probably end up leading towards a Baron.
Or even with enough kills, that might be enough for Marietta to finish off the game, but they're going to have to take out a couple from Tiffin to be able to pull it off, and they haven't been able to do that for the past 10 or so minutes. And Marietta will start up the Baron.
They managed to clear a little bit of vision here, but not enough that they can't stop the Jax from teleporting in, so that half damage they did, Jax is going to come in here and start taking Baron now.
Or at least it stops the Baron. I don't think they're going to resume it because it heals back up.
We see all of Marietta backing right now. So is this going to be Tiffin's chance to push in? Did they see the backing?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for, they're paying the Drake, because that's the Elder Drake's going to be up in 40 seconds. So they may say, forget the Baron, let's go for Elder Drake.
We're going to see a different dance kind of rotating down to the bottom jungle now. We do see Leona heading up to get a little bit of vision on that Baron to make sure they can see what's going on there.
They do know that Cressman's in the bottom lane, but he does have both his ult and his teleport ready to go. So if a team fight does happen here, he can pop in.
We're going to be seeing Jax probably sticking more with Tiffin's team now since his teleport is down. So there are no more teleports right now for Tiffin's team, but we do have it for Shin.
And we see Rakan trying to go in with his ult and catching two people, but nothing's going to happen. We see the Shen ult coming in. So now will Marietta try to go for the re-engage. They get a slow onto Rakan, but he's going to be out. Cataclysm actually goes out.
We see Jax and Xin Zhao jumping back onto Syndra. Syndra using her Hourglass. Jinx trying to stay back. Her Guardian is going to be popping. Meanwhile, the tank's going to be taking some extra damage here. Jinx comes back up. Managed to not finish off Jax. Very close, but Jax is able to do that dodge. Meanwhile, we're going to be seeing Shin and Leona trying to escape. But all that's left standing is Shin. And he's going to be backing off. Not able to stop this tower from being taken. Yeah, I don't even know if he can stop the next tower from being taken.
I mean, with the death timers, that's definitely an inhibitor. That might be enough to finish off the game, actually. I mean, they tried to take off the Jax, but he just was too far ahead at that point. And the Jax pretty much carried the team. I think Tiffin's going to try to finish the game here.
So even with that Hourglass and that Guardian, we saw both those get popped. And even still, they weren't able to come back to do enough damage to take out their team. They did take down a Xin Zhao, but Xin Zhao isn't... I mean, he is a threat. He is kind of tanky. He does have some damage, but that Jax, that Zed, and that Xayah are all doing a lot of damage to the team and just tearing through everybody.
Yeah, so with that, game one does go Tiffin. And that just goes back to... it all came back to when they had the two Nexus turrets down, and then after that, they just kind of inted from there.
You really got to get a feel for that, you know, how late do you stay? When do you pull back? Because overstaying your visit, you know, sometimes you're going to be low because you just had a team fight. Once they come back, they're at full health and they're going to be coming in at you. I know they had more gold, they had more items, they had more levels at the time, but just having those didn't guarantee a win in that fight because that Zed came back in, he had his ulti up, he jumped on that Jinx, and from that point on, every time they went into a team fight, Tiffin was taking out the carries, even with Guardian, even with Hourglass. They focused those carries, made sure that they went down, and then all you had were tanks, and those tanks had no damage. They could take some damage, you know, they were sponges, but they weren't able to take out a Zed, they weren't able to take out a Jax, and Jax, as you said before too, utilizing his dodge to make sure that Jinx couldn't hit him, being able to jump in there and stun. You know, Jinx wasn't able to get away either, or having Zed jump in there and do his ulti and shadow back behind the lines and do some things like that. There were a lot of things that they weren't making sure that their carries were defended, and I think that was what Marietta, it all kind of fell from there. That's
one of the things about Jinx is like the way she works is she has to be in the back line and just damage from a distance. She doesn't have a whole lot of mobility. I mean, what she's got is her E to be able to stun. That's it. if you don't have that, then you don't really have anything else. So when you have Jax leaping in and then Zed kind of popping in, then if you can't escape from that, you're going to go down. And they were able to utilize that.
You really need at that point a Shen or a Leona or something to stay back with that Jinx or back with that Syndra and make sure that you're getting a stun off, make sure you're getting a taunt off, something to pull that aggro away from Jinx to make sure that she's not getting just jumped on by whoever it is. Now, you can't really stop the ulti too much from like Zed, but you could maybe change up or stun possibly a Jax, especially if you can time it between his dodges and stuff that he has. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll see what adjustments are made. So this time Tiffin's going to go blue side and Marietta will be on the red side. So we'll see if Marietta can use that to get a couple more of the counter picks. I mean, it just still kind of goes back to the fact that Marietta was doing so well in the early and mid game. Mm-hmm. But it's just the comp that Tiffin was going for was a late game comp with the Jax, with the Zed, and I think also a lot of the kills were onto Shen. I mean, Shen was able to get a lot of kills, but he doesn't do a whole lot of damage.
No.
So more of the kills need to be on the carries. So with that, they were just able to scale better and then take control of the late game.
Maybe in that situation, I don't think we saw the Thornmail come out. Maybe that could have helped a little bit for somebody to maybe do a little bit extra damage if they were getting hit, but they weren't focusing on the tanks until after the carries were down. So.
Right, and you wouldn't expect the carries to get the Thornmail.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that would have actually helped them in that case, unless Shen was able to get like a taunt onto Jax, but it seemed like it was just leaping right onto the carries right away.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We're getting close to the next pick and ban phase. So we'll go ahead and pull that up because that may be starting any time now. But I would expect maybe like the Jax ban because he is just a huge component to that win for Tiffin.
Yeah, no, I agree. Having that Jax being able to kind of just do what he needed to, teleport in. Him teleporting in on Baron, the rest of the team was still back, but as soon as he started teleporting in, they had to get out of there because if he jumped on one of their teammates, that take down Syndra, take down Jinx, the rest of the team's gonna be able to come through and wipe up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so it looks like we have everyone in the lobby, so we're just checking. All right, so the lobby is set. But I think Mary's going to go over a couple things, probably talk about what types of adjustments they can make. Because I would anticipate that they're probably a little upset because victory was just within their grasp. One more team fight win, and they would have had it, and they just were not able to get that over and over and over again. So Mariette's have to be very careful to not get tilted. Mm-hmm. Because if that happens in this game, then it's going to be a blowout very early on. So they're going to have to say, okay, we made mistakes. We let the Jax scale up. They beat us. Game 2, whole new game.
Yeah.
If they take any of the stuff from game 1 and carry that into game 2, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, if they play like they did in the beginning, just make sure don't overstay your visit. Make sure you're watching for where their teams are going. Maybe the better solution there would have been trying to split push a bit more and trying to divide their team a bit more rather than doing those team fights where you have all that damage being able to jump onto your carries. Maybe having some split, they could have maybe snuck in and done some extra damage and pushed through a little differently rather than forcing team fights that they weren't winning over and over.
Or at the very least, once they took the towers, move over and rotate to another one. Okay.
Yeah, take a different lane. Push those inhibitors a bit. Get some more super minions going. And now, hey, we're pushing top lane, but they've got to check bot lane because those super minions are going to come through and cause damage.
Now, we see that we're already in the ban pick phase for this, and we see Kled and R being banned by Tiffin again. And looks like Marietta first pick banned to Jax. I had expected that because of how much of a role he played in that game. They do not want to go up against it again. Irelia is still going to get banned, so we'll see what Tiffin decides to go with for their third ban. If they keep the same bans as before, or if they go with something that they didn't like in that first game, because even Tiffin's probably going to be talking about some adjustments, although they're going up with the same bans, because even though they won the game, they had troubles in the early game. Marietta was very dominant in the first 20 or so minutes, but it looks like they're going to keep the same Bans, Marietta's going to be banning the Thresh.
Yeah. So far, Marietta has the same bans except for that Jax. We saw Aurelia last time. We saw Thresh last time. Kled and Ari and Silas were all seen last time as well. But we do see Tiffin with their Vlad, which, how good is that Vlad? Because Marietta, that was one of their bans last time to make sure that they didn't get a Vlad.
Right. They said they're willing to let them take the Vladimir over the Jax. And I wonder if Marietta's going to get punished for that. Although Marietta now is going to take the Zaya Rakan. So I have a feeling they wanted that in game 1, but Tiffin took it. So now they're going to take Zaya Rakan and see what that does for them in game 2. Although while that does give them the Zaya Rakan, that does open them up to get counterpicked, because now Tiffin can pick their bot lane to decide whether they want to play against the Zaya Rakan.
True, because they did do a really good job bot lane against that Zaya Rakan combo on Tiffin's side. It wasn't until the team fights later on where Rakan's ulti was causing problems, where Zaya was able to do a lot of damage with her feathers and stuff and tossing them in and pulling them back out. And so hopefully Marietta can make sure they utilize and capitalize that still bot lane regardless of who Tiffin picks.
Now, I know Cowboy does like Rakan. It is one of his favorite champions. So being able to put him on that's pretty good. Although we do see the Silver Nautilus. So that's going to make wave clear interesting, because Silver is very good with wave clear. Nautilus is that big beefy tank. So that could be a pretty good counter against Zaya Rakan, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Silver's going to have really good wave clear. Nautilus is going to have that pull. So, I mean, he can cause some engages depending on how they watch. If this wave clear can happen for Silver very easily, Nautilus can get a throw in because there won't be any minions to be blocking him.
Yeah, now we see Marietta became the driver for the jungler, so now we see what they're going to be banning. So they still don't want that Mordekaiser in the top lane. And then looks like Tiffin's going to ban out the Shen. They guess they saw that as a bit of a threat from the last game.
He just was able to help turn some of the earlier team fights around. So bot lane, whenever it looked like it was going to be Marietta falling behind in a bot lane, Shen teleporting in was able to change the tide of that.
Yeah, and Marietta decided to ban out the Xin Zhao. So I guess they thought that the knockup that he did to engage in fights was too much of a threat. So they decided they don't want to go up against that.
Yeah. Through the early game, he didn't seem like too much of a threat, but their team composition later on, like I can understand having that knockup being an issue when you're trying to do your damage as a carry, or trying to tank as trying to use a stun as Leona, or trying to use a taunt as Shen, but you're getting knocked up and you can't do it.
No, I mean, charge in the back line and knock up the Jinx while you have Jax just whacking on her, and you got the Zed popping the ult. That's probably part of the reason why Jinx went down so easily. And we see Marietta going with the Malzahar. It's interesting to decide to pick their mid laner next, because that does allow Malzahar to possibly get counterpicked. Well, yeah, so they picked the Zedwani for jungler. So now the question is, what will they go for? Well, I would assume that's a top. Actually, I would assume that's a top Vlad.
Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to pick mid lane, because you could have just picked your top laner, because your top lane was already picked most likely. Maybe they weren't sure, because it could go either way. So they wanted to make sure of what they had.
Okay, that was a mid Vlad, and Marietta caught it out. That's why they picked the Malzahar. The Malzahar was picked to counter Vlad, because they probably knew that that's going to be it. Yeah, they must have known that was a mid Vlad. That's why.
Well, depending on the scouting out they did, maybe looking all their mid laner plays Vlad, not their top laner. So knowing where that's going to be going. So Aatrox going top lane. Now they get a chance to be able to counter it with a Malphite. We'll see how that goes there. Malphite, I don't know if he counters Aatrox.
I don't think we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out here. But
you gotta love the 10th anniversary fan art.
Is that what all those are?
Yeah,
all those little.
Yeah, it's the middle of the 10th anniversary. That's why you see the things with the little
Silver and the Jax and stuff.
Yeah, those are the heroes that came out at the beginning of League of Legends. So they did fan art for those. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, Malphite is a pretty good champion. I don't know how he does against Aatrox. I mean, Crespin picked into it, so he must feel very confident with it. Larson decided to pick the Malphite into the Vladimir. So since they knew that was a mid, that's why they picked their mid champion next. So they did get at least the counter picks for the mid and top lane. So we'll see if how that affects this game. And Tiffin does have a bit of AP now, so Marietta can't go with all
armor. You're gonna need some magic resist as well. Yeah. and that
Okay.
must have had an issue here with their picks here.
Looks like something went wrong here. Hold on. I'm going to see what's going on.
I missed what it was. It might have been. Won't let.
Oh, it is a client bug. Won't let us change summoner spells.
So a small client bug. We'll get that started back up here in just a second.
All right. Yeah, that was weird, but okay. So they're probably just going to restart their client, and we'll get this started back up real soon. I mean, bugs happen, right? So you can't pick summoner spells. Games crash in the middle of your broadcast. All sorts of fun stuff.
Oh no, yeah, no, I understand things. I've had all kinds of things happen with streams, or just yesterday during a stream of ours, we had GTFO was being played. For some reason, we just couldn't get one person to have a mic on Discord, so they could hear us, but we couldn't hear them. And we're like, well, we're just going to go with that because I don't know what's wrong with it. So things happen. Weird bugs happen.
Yep. All right, take two.
But no, yeah. So with this team comp, we do have, we have a Vlad, which is going to be some AP. His ulti is going to really change up some things with team fights. So you don't want to be too grouped up and get hit by that. Malzahar on the other side of that, countering Vlad. Hopefully it works out well. He has his little minions and stuff he can do. So we'll see how that plays against Vlad, especially in the mid lane. Malzahar, though, is better single target, though. So as far as team fights go, it's going to be a little different on how will he fare against, Aatrox maybe being able to jump into the back lane. Or, Sivir has that, I believe she still has that shield to be able to counter a spell. So Malzahar won't be able to get, depending on how Sivir plays, may not be able to get some of his spells off on Sivir if he goes for a Sivir attack.
Well, the thing with Malzahar is he does have the silence. So if he can land the silence on the Sivir before she can pop the shield,
then he gets some chances to be able to do some damage to her.
Or use the silence to trigger the shield, then use something else on her. So I think the silence usage is going to be a big deal for the Malzahar. And then what's really nice about Marietta's comp is Malphite, Rakan, and Jarvan can all engage. And you can use any one of their ults or even a combination of them. So I could see like a Rakan, Malphite, Jarvan, alt, wombo, combo, just to lock everyone in, charm them, knock them up, and you get like that triple, quadra possible kill if you set that up correctly.
Yeah. The thing they may need to be watching out for, though, is I feel like this time Tiffin has much more AoE comp type of stuff going on. So you get Vlad's ulti, you get Sivir's ulti with her bouncing blades. You're going to be getting a lot of damage maybe going to multiple people, as well as Sejuani's ulti can freeze multiples if they're close enough in. Aatrox can dive in and do some AoE damage. So you're going to be getting a little bit more kind of AoE stuff. So they're going to want to split up, especially for the ultimates. Other than that, being able to do those engages and really bounce onto maybe Vlad or maybe Sivir or something to be able to take out their damage, their carries.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to who has the better engage into the team fights. Because as you said, like Tiffin does have a lot of really good engages. I mean, with Sivir popping her ult to charge in, you got the Nautilus ult, and the depth charge can pick someone, knock them up, and then try to lock down that person. So we'll see how that goes.
The thing too, though, is jumping on their carries. You have Sivir with her shield, even her ulti, if she wants to use it for disengage rather than for an engage, giving her that speed boost to run away. Vlad with his pull that he can do can help get him out of tricky situations. So there is some disengage moments the carries will also have, let alone whatever we get from maybe the Nautilus trying to help protect or Sejuani trying to help protect.
Although at least in this case for Brimstone, with the Zayat, she can pop her ult to kind of get a little disengaged because she's untargetable while that's happening, which is something that Jinx did not have last time. So that could make a difference as well.
With this too, we do see the 4 teleports up this time, rather than just having the top lane with teleports. We do see Vlad as well as Malzahar, rather than going for the barrier and the ignite they had last time, which is understandable for Zed, hopping in there with his ultimate, popping an ignite and just trying to burst down someone real quick. And then Syndra went with that barrier to try to counter that heavy burst of damage there. We're going to be seeing possibly more teleport, more engages, at least early on, or we might even see maybe a little bit more split pushing going on as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. So just a reminder for everyone that's watching, you are watching Marietta College Esports, so thank you for spending what's now your Saturday afternoon with us. We've been here for quite a bit. It's been an exciting day so far. So if you haven't done so yet, please be sure to follow us to get all the latest updates with what's going on with the programs. I mean, you can follow us on Twitter at Marietta Esports, Facebook at Marietta College Esports. You can follow our Twitch channel here, so whenever we broadcast stuff, you're aware when it happens. You can also follow us on YouTube for all of our broadcasts. So even this match here will be up next week. So we do put the broadcast up on our YouTube channel a week after the broadcast. But if you can't wait that long, then you can always subscribe to our channel. So that will give you access to all of our VODs right away, including this broadcast immediately after we're done. It also gives you access to our custom emotes, courtesy of our communication and brand management department here at Marietta College. They've done a fantastic job, and all the support you provide helps with building the program. We've already been able to use it to improve equipment, hire staff, and we have a lot of really exciting things that we're hoping to do down the road, and your support will help with making that happen. Mm-hmm. And also, don't forget that if you don't want to actually pay the $5 to subscribe, there is this little thing called Twitch Prime.
Yes, there is.
You could use. So if you have a Twitch Prime subscription, that gives you a free sub that you could use every month. We already seen a couple people who use their Twitch Prime subscription, so thank you so much for that. But you can use that to get in-game loot, all sorts of cool items. And if you don't have Twitch Prime, but if you have Amazon Prime, you automatically have Twitch Prime. You just have to create the Twitch account and then link it to your Amazon Prime account, and boom, you got Twitch Prime for free.
So make sure you guys link those in there, and you can give your favorite college esports channel a subscribe and get some cool Pioneer emotes.
Yeah, that would be great. Your support is much appreciated. And then while we're still loading here, do want to take a minute to thank Aaron from Blind Wave to help with commentating here for us. Since we have a little bit, since we're still loading, you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with Blind Wave now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as far as like Twitch things right now, we're going into November, so we're going to be looking at some of the new games coming out, because November is always heavy on newer games and stuff. So Death Stranding is one that's coming out soon. We're going to be group streaming that next Friday, and then Rick is going to be covering that on Tuesdays, playing through that, which is Hideo Kojima's new game, starring Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. There's also the new Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game that's coming out. That'll be the following Friday. We're going to group stream that, and then Eric's going to be streaming that on Saturdays as well. And then I'm excited because this Monday I'm doing Call of Duty, which is the new Call of Duty game that came out. I only played through the story and campaign of that, so I'm really excited for that. But then Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming out, so I'll be doing that every Monday during Pokemon Monday.
So where can people go to watch these streams?
Well, that's our Twitch channel is twitch.tv/blindwave. We have a stream pretty much every day except for Sunday. So the schedule is right below the actual stream channel, so you can go down and look at that and see a variety of games from Pokemon to Star Wars and podcasts and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so please be sure to check out and support our friends over at Blind Wave. They've been very supportive for us, and we cannot thank them enough. So please send them your love to be able to watch all the great content that they have there.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we are underway. I had to get the UI set up, which was also why it took a minute.
So we have the UI set up. We have the teams already in here. They've taken their usual positions of making sure there are no invades happening here or on either side of the river. And then we'll be getting into our laning phase and seeing where our jungles choose to start, which so far looks like Jarvan's going to be starting with the red, and then Sejuani is in the middle, so I'm not sure where she's going. Maybe red?
I think it's kind of standard for the jungler to kind of be in that mid lane just to kind of watch things. So they'll move around. We already see the junglers kind of migrating over to the right side of the jungle. And we saw that Jarvan was able to get an early ward there just to kind of find out exactly where Sejuani would be going around. But yes, as what we expect, blue side's going to go with their red side jungle. Red side goes with their blue jungle first.
I thought Sejuani rode a pig. What is that thing she's on? You see that thing?
Let's take a look here. I think it's a giant Poro.
Ah, Poro. Okay, I've seen those from the ARAMs.
I think it looks like a giant Poro with horns. It isn't just adorable.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we're going in here into our laning phase. We see just the CS happening, a few wards being dropped mid lane. We also have a ward into the top jungle there from Marietta as well.
Yeah, so blue. I think in the early game, it's really going to be about how these matchups go. Because we do know that Marietta picked the Malphite into the Aatrox, and they picked the Malzahar into the... we actually see some little bit of damage going on here in the bot lane, but we saw the Malzahar going into the Vladimir, so we'll see how those matchups go. Although it looks like Aatrox kind of has that early advantage because he has a longer melee range compared to Malphite. But then again, both Aatrox and Malphite are about half health each.
Now, the one thing that Aatrox is also going to have an advantage over Malphite is that he's not going to be worried about his mana consumption, whereas Malphite's going to have to make sure he's managing his mana as well, where Aatrox can maybe stay a little bit longer, maybe do a little bit more free damage because he's not worried about wasting mana and having to conserve that. But do you see Sejuani kind of getting some vision top lane? But Malphite's back enough that she may not be going in. But there's a ping for Sejuani top lane. Looks like she's going to be going in. They're going to be diving Malphite under this tower. We see Sejuani coming in. Aatrox trying to get some damage on, but not enough comes through. Malphite's going to get behind tower. He's going to be backing.
Yeah, so we see bullying kind of going on in both the top end of the bot lanes, and Flash is having to be burned by Brimstone and Crespin. So that's going to open them up to ganks later on. So right now we're seeing Aatrox is pretty much winning the top lane here against Crespin. So we'll have to see if that Malphite can kind of scale a bit better. But it doesn't look like that Malphite's going to be as effective early on right now.
We do see Malphite right now is behind 8 to 23 in CS, so he's definitely struggling in BM trying to clear out that farm without taking too much extra damage. So was this selection done maybe more for the late game rather than for the actual battle against Aatrox himself, where he's just going to be trying to just hold the lane the best he can and not actually being able to take out Aatrox? Is he just falling behind early on? Maybe we can see him catch up here in a little bit.
It's definitely for the team fight engages. It's exactly why you would go with a Malphite in this case, because like Rakan is a good engager, but he's not so much of a tank. To me, having Nox is kind of like a tank engage, but you need some form of other tank that can also engage, and that's where Malphite comes in. But we see that he can do good damage if he can get into range of Aatrox. So the advantage that Aatrox has is just the fact that he does have a longer melee range, so he can put some damage on him, and Malphite can't do a whole lot.
We do see Aatrox dropping pretty low here.
We see
Malphite chasing him down. There is nobody else in the jungle top lane, so Aatrox having to try to get away from this, flashing over the wall to try to survive, but the Q manages to come out and takes out Aatrox.
Oh yeah, he does have that Q, doesn't he? Yeah. So that's his
little,
one range poke.
The rock roll, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Q, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's his Q. But yeah, so if he doesn't have the melee range, just poke with the Q. It does take a lot of mana to do that, though, but it was definitely worth it to get that first blood onto Aatrox, and actually forces the Aatrox to use his teleport early on.
So he used his teleport, he used his flash, and he still died. So Malphite really came out on top on that one there. But Aatrox comes back full health, but Jarvan's coming in here, and we're going to see if there's another gank on Aatrox. He doesn't have his flash anymore to be able to escape this.
But Malphite is out of mana, so he's not going to be able to use his Q right away to slow him down, and he's going to get very low, and he gets punished for it.
He drops very low and will be going down. Meanwhile, Sejuani comes in here to the mid lane to gank against Malzahar, and Mal will go down. So we lost Malphite and Malzahar, both in those gank attempts there.
Yeah, so it was a good attempt right there. I think that, I think there's a little miscommunication there. Malphite did not have the mana to really help with that gank attempt in the top lane. And when Tiffin saw that, they decided, let's go mid because we know the jungler's up there. And they were able to get that kill onto Larson, who also had to burn his flash and his teleport earlier.
Yeah, without any mana from Malphite, which is what I was saying before, Aatrox doesn't have to worry about that. As long as he has the health he needs, it's just about his cooldowns. And as long as his cooldowns are up, he can do more damage. But Malphite, he couldn't do any extra damage. He was just punching. He couldn't do any more like damage resist or anything. Like any abilities he currently had were void.
Yeah, so now we see about almost 7 minutes into the game that Tiffin does have about 1,000 gold. So it's almost kind of flip-flopped to what happened in the last game, where Marietta was about 1,000 gold ahead this time in game 1. So Maria's got to be careful to make sure they do not let Tiffin take the lead here. We see some pings going on in the bottom river. I don't know if they're going to, looks like maybe aim for
this Drake here.
Drake there, but Malzahar is not too far. No, they're not going to do that. I think they just kind of converge a little bit.
I think they thought about it. They got a little bit of vision, and they decided to back off, not knowing where. I don't think they had vision on Jarvan. They didn't have vision on Malzahar. They didn't know where the teams were, so they were like, "Well, let's wait, figure out where people are, and then we'll go again." We do see Malphite backing off here. He's got a 20 CS deficit here. Aatrox versus Malphite. Meanwhile, jungles are pretty close. It's only 5 difference there. Malzahar coming out on top against Vladimir. However, Vlad did get that assist when Malzahar died. So,
right, so it's probably a little bit even. But this may be one of those where if Malzahar gets the lead, then it's going to be up to him to make sure he stays alive during the actual fights. And we see the hook getting onto Rakan, and he's going to pop his W. And we actually see quite the engage going here. We even see the teleport coming down with Malphite, getting the alt engage onto Sivir, and she does end up going down.
We see some other movement trying to get in, but they're going to be getting away, I believe. But we do get a pull on Malphite, pulling him back into the tower, taking some extra damage there.
But the first tower hit is not that much, especially for a Malphite.
No, I mean, that was a good play.
Oh, yeah.
They dived onto the bot lane there. Jarvan came in from behind, was able to try to catch him off guard. Meanwhile, Malphite was able to teleport in on that ward, or that minion otherwise, and get that secure kill on Sivir.
Yeah, so with that, that does cut down the gold lead by about, well, it was about 500, but then Tiffin got a couple more minion clears, but that's still a very good 4-player gank in the bot lane. Although that does allow Aatrox to go in the top lane and just kind of free push. So Malphite gets the kill, but now he's 40 CS behind against Aatrox. So unless he's going to keep getting more kills, he's going to have to work on getting his CS up.
We do see a lot more armor coming out from Malphite there to try to counter this Aatrox a little bit here. I mean, that Q he has does hurt Aatrox a good bit, but like I said, that mana management, you can't be spamming that all the time, or when it comes to needing your mana, you're not going to have it.
It looks like we may see another gank attempt going in the top lane. The Jarvan is going to be heading up there, and Aatrox is under half health, although his ult is up. But we see the Cataclysm going in, so they should be able to pop the ult, and they do. But they get the kill even though the ult does get popped up. So very good gank attempt there. And that looks like that's Tiffin's cue to head for the Ocean Drake, because they know that Nox went up there, and Marietta is going to concede that Ocean Drake.
Do you see them trying to poke in a little bit from bot lane? Mal's came down just a little bit, but there's not much that they can do with their jungler being top lane. It's going to be 4v3, and they have no smite.
But that does at least give Larson a chance to get some turret playing in the mid lane while they were able to get the Ocean Drake. Although he might have gotten, well, he'll back away because we do see some pings, so they may be trying to catch Malzahar. He's going to pop the ult onto Vladimir.
You see Jarvan jumping in as well to give some assist here, trying to get that Sejuani off of Malzahar, but Aatrox comes down and is able to secure the kill on Malzahar, and then they also secure the kill on Jarvan.
Yeah, they did,
coming from a 3-2 fight.
Unfortunately, they just did not expect the Aatrox to come in, and we see the depth charge going onto Xayah, but she pops her ult to negate it. So a very good play there by Xayah to be able to prevent the gank attempt there.
Meanwhile, since that since the two that did happen, one to the jungle and one to mid lane, the jungle and top lane have decided to take this Rift Herald. They've done some damage. Aatrox going to be going back top. Meanwhile, while they were doing that, Sejuani was able to get a little bit of health from that plant in the river there. So she was able to kind of come back and make sure they could secure that Rift Herald. Tiffin also had a nice rotation there where Aatrox started trying to get low and Malphite was top lane, but there was nothing mid lane. So the Vlad came up to kind of help assist Sejuani there while Aatrox went back top lane.
Yeah, we see the ult coming up again by Aatrox, and we see a 3-player gank attempt onto Nox, and they do get the kill. So Tiffin is rotating more this time around to counter the engages that Marietta's doing, and they'll pop the Rift Herald up there, and they'll probably get the first tower in the top lane.
And with Malphite going back, I don't know how much damage you're going to be doing to the second tower as well. We have 3 up there, but we do see Vlad going back. He's not going to be helping with this tower here. So definitely the first tier tower will be going down, probably 1 charge to the second tier. We do see a little bit of a lead coming here to Tiffin against Marietta this time.
Yeah, we're at about 2,000 gold. Yeah, it looks like the Rift Herald was able to get another charge onto that top inner tower. But they do clean up the Rift Herald, but it's going to be easier for it to pick off that tower later on. And it looks like Malzahar might have gotten picked off again. He is going to drop. So he's just getting caught. Like he's...
Well, he pushed into this jungle, a little greedy here. He didn't want to push mid lane for some reason. He was trying to take some of the jungle's farm, but he did so with no vision. I don't see any wards unless they cleared them out on the way through here.
Now, there was a ward in the Raptor pit, but there wasn't any other wards, so...
Doing that with, no vision from bot lane, no vision around the area that he's in.
You can't go into the enemy jungle without any vision, especially when you're a carry where you can be a bit squishy. So at that point, you're just giving away free kills to the other team.
Right now, the laning phase here, Marietta is falling behind a decent bit. All lanes are kind of behind.
Yeah, you're looking at
most likely with money. Some of the CS is still okay, but like Malz is still ahead against Vlad. But Vlad has 1 kill and 4 assists, where Malzahar has 3 deaths.
Yeah, the problem is, you got a 1-0 for Vladimir, so he's going to start getting very scary. And we see the ult going onto Vladimir.
Vlad already used his pool, so he's not going to be able to get away from that. And he does... Jarvan comes in helping to secure the kill against that Vlad. And this may result here in this tier 1 tower. But Sejuani comes in with an ultimate, stunning Jarvan, taking out Jarvan. Malzahar trying to do a little bit of damage, but he's going to have to run away, and they won't be securing that tier 1 tower. And the plating has now fallen, so the extra damage, the extra they could have had as well from the plating.
Well, they were able to take... They did get the last plating before that, so the only thing that would have been left would be the tower itself.
At least they got the extra plating then during that time frame.
Yeah. So it does help, but it's still about a 3,000 gold difference about 14.5 minutes into the game. So, I mean, it's not ideal for sure, but if Marietta can get a good pick, a good team fight, or they may be able to come back from this. So it's not over yet. So we see the Xayah popping her ult and actually getting Sivir very low. And the Ignite will go up, but it's just not enough. So we pop the heal to counter the Ignite.
Yeah, she did drop very low. We did see the Ignite go on to Sivir, but with that heal, it was able to just keep her at bouncing back and forth between the same amount of health. So if they could have gotten maybe one more hit on her, they could have taken her down, but that Nautilus was able to utilize his ulti and his tankiness to be able to kind of help defend her a bit too, so.
So we see Rakan taking a couple of hits, a little bit of trading, but not a whole lot. Although despite the things that go on in the bot lane, I mean, Brimstone is able to keep up on CS with Sivir, actually slightly ahead. And we do see some pings going on over by the Mountain Drake. It is up. So we may see a possible team fight here.
See Vlad going on to Malz a little bit there. Malz getting his silence off. But the rest of the team, Aatrox is down there and Sejuani's down there as well. So we have the entire team for Tiffin down here between mid and bot lane. Meanwhile, Malphite's up top. He does have teleport if he needs to come down.
And Rakan had the W away there just to... I can't remember if it's a WE. It looks like Tiffin will be starved the Mountain Drake. And we'll see if Marietta is going to try to collapse on them. We do see Jarvan getting pretty close, but doesn't seem like there's the right engaging. He actually will jump in.
You see Rakan and Malz, everyone coming in, they're kind of collapsing in from different angles. The Dragon Drake will go down to Sejuani. Meanwhile, Larson gets a kill on Sivir, and Vlad gets a kill on Jarvan. We get a suppression from Malzahar. But is it enough to turn this? And Nautilus goes down. Sejuani very low, but they're able to take out Xayah as well. Vlad's able to take out Rakan, and all that's left is Malzahar. So that fight ended up being an ace and a Drake for Tiffin, and they lost 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
So the team fight, they got some, but it definitely was not in favor for Marietta.
Yeah, and this may, although Tiffin's going to try to push on this tower, this may also be a tower for Tiffin.
Yeah, I would imagine this tower will go down. The team should get back in time. There's no way they'll get the second tier. But a tower, a Drake, and an ace, all for Tiffin, is definitely increasing their lead there. You're looking at about, let's see, we're at what?
A 4,500 gold lead. It's a pretty substantial difference in about 17 minutes into the game. So I mean, it was a good attempt to try to take the dragon, but
I mean, they had a good collapse. Mouse came from top river. You had ADC coming from bot river. You had someone else coming from the jungle itself. So they all came from different angles. And they were able to get a couple deaths. But then after that, they were all scattered and weren't able to really attack an individual or anything. And it all kind of just fell. And
they tried to take down the Vladimir. And they eventually did. But at what cost? Like, they just weren't able to get him down quick enough. And we already see Vladimir trying to get onto the Xayah, and she has to pop her ult to get away, but it's not enough. So Vladimir's just got another kill. And Jarvan's going to be going down as well, so that's another kill. So this game is starting to run away.
And that was 2v3 there. There was Jarvan, there was Xayah, there was Rakan fighting just a Nautilus and just a Vlad. And Vlad was able to do enough damage and avoid enough damage and take back enough health that he's still at full health, and they took out 2 of the Marietta team.
Yeah, at this point, I'm wondering if Marion is just not respecting the Vladimir right. He's a 725. I mean, if we were to kind of look at just how much gold he has 8,600 gold, so more than any of the other players on the team.
The closest one is Malzahar with 8,300 right now, but I mean, Malzahar isn't able to one-on-one that Vlad without someone else being able to interrupt him. So.
Yeah, so they're going to have to be extra careful because that Vlad, he's got the hourglass too, so he can jump in and do something, but then use the hourglass if they do try to pounce on him.
Yeah, the best answer for that Vlad, I think, is the Malzahar, but Malzahar needs to be able to get to him. And he's not the fastest, most mobile character you have, so getting that silence onto him, getting that suppress onto Vlad where Vlad can't do anything, and you can just take him out. But how do you get that to happen in the first place?
Yeah, and we even see, if you look at the red side jungle, Tiffin has that completely warded, so they know exactly where Marietta is at any point. So like they pinged out the Rakan, he has to back away.
But he's going to be backing away to Tiffin's side down to Malzahar right now, who's at tier 1 tower in mid lane. And we can see the rest of the team. Vlad's cutting off the Rakan. He's going to be getting caught out by himself. So, having to use his spell to get away. He will escape down to bot lane and be able to get back. But, I mean, that was close. I mean, Vlad, the team has that vision. Right now, you look at the map, and there's very little red wards around the map. We have a couple in the top lane. We just got one place in the bottom jungle. So if we can get a little bit more vision, maybe they can try to catch some of these players out. You know, we have Aatrox off there by himself. Maybe they could collapse in and take out Aatrox here, but
Larson was able to sneak a couple of tower kills during all that. He was able to get the bot and mid tower down to try to get some gold back, try to open up map a little bit more for them. But we're already seeing possible pings with the Baron. I think that's just to say watch out for the Baron, but I mean, we just see here that the big difference is in the vision. Yeah, Tiffin just has the red side jungle completely warded, so they know exactly where anyone is at any point during the game. So at this point, Marion is going to have to work on just trying to push back out. And as you said, look for those opportunities to try to pick someone off.
Yeah, the whole team on Marietta right now needs to make sure that they're getting some ward plays. Right now we got 2, and they're both in the bottom jungle right here, next to wolves and into the river. Meanwhile, if you look at the top of the jungle, you're seeing blue in the river. You're seeing blue all through the Marietta jungle. Like, they've got wards where, hey, we're gonna go for Baron. We make sure we have vision and we know what's going on.
And we see the engage onto Malphite, and we see the counter engage on by Malphite. But we see Malphite going down, and Xayah also goes down. So that's already 3 down for Marietta. So this is going to be a Baron for Tiffin. So they're just able to snowball their lead.
Yeah, while that fight was happening there, Jarvan tried to come in from behind. He got caught on his own without actually being part of the engagement at all. We see a suppression on Aatrox and Rakan trying to help do a little bit of damage. Xayah shows up here, or Vlad shows up here, I mean. And we've already seen the ulti and the silence go off, so I don't know if they're going to be able to turn this on Vlad or not. He does use his hourglass to be able to hold off, but they do get the shutdown on Vlad. They're going to get the kill on Aatrox, but meanwhile, the rest of the Tiffin team has been taking Baron, and I don't think they're going to get there in time. They do not. We see the Baron go for 3 members, so not the full 5. It could have been worse.
Yeah, it could be worse.
So Malzahar and Rakan able to take on the Vlad and the Aatrox, which Vlad has been causing problems for many of the Marietta teams so far. So that was a very good play, good uses of his ulti, of his suppression, of being able to stop these characters from doing their spells and their powers.
Yeah, we even see Marietta starting up the Ocean Drake. They're going to try to grab that real quickly since 2 from Tiffin were down and the rest reset. They should be able to grab this and then get away.
Yeah, we had Sejuani coming in trying to get some vision on that, but nothing happened from there. We do see us push bot lane with this Baron buff here. They will get this tier 1 tower on the bot lane, but how much further will they push after that?
Yeah, so we do see the 2-lane push there and the pinks coming out, so we may see an engagement possibly on Xayah.
We have Sivir and Nautilus down bot lane, but they do have the buffed up minions from that Baron buff. So we see 3-4 members of Tiffin down here right now. Aatrox in the mid lane, he could rotate down as well. We see the minion waves being cleared out. We do see a little bit of poke happening back and forth, but no engages, no one committing to anything right now. There is a tower, it's at half health. So if they get that down maybe just a little bit more, maybe we'll see something else happening here, but
we see looks most of Tiffin converging in that bot lane, although Malphite and Aatrox are in the mid lane, but teleports are up. And we see the engage onto Sivir and she does end up going down. So that might be exactly what Mary needs, and we do see them kind of pushing Tiffin back. Or at least that does force him to disengage.
And it also takes out Sivir, which had the Baron buff, so there's one less Baron buff we have out and about. One thing I might have done differently there for Tiffin is they had their Aatrox split pushing. You may have wanted maybe a Sejuani over there with him, or Aatrox come back down to the bot lane, because Sejuani, or maybe even Nautilus, has that Baron buff. Getting buffed minions in 2 lanes rather than just the 1 lane, because they had all their Baron buffs in 1 lane.
Man, that does cause things to reset, and this actually gives Marietta a chance to stall out the game. I know we mentioned earlier that you don't want to stall out the game, but when you're behind,
that's exactly what you want to do.
You do want to stall out, so that way that gives you a chance to get the items you need, to get the CS, and to try to catch back up in this. I mean, right now, Tiffin's still ahead by 6,000 gold 25 minutes into the game. But if Marietta can get like that one little pick here and there and to stall things, now we do see Nox getting caught, but he will flash away from Sejuani. But if they're able to get those picks and try to stall out, then that may give them the chance they need to fight back.
Yeah, and if we look at, most of the laners are behind by a level or more. So getting that extra XP, getting that extra gold.
And Nautilus just burned his flash. Like he just saw 2 guys and he just went, nope, and just kind of popped away.
He was a little worried about getting caught out too far there. He could have used his Q maybe instead and grabbed and pulled himself to something instead, but
he must have seen something he didn't like.
We see Aatrox and Vlad down here against Malphite trying to finish off this tower. We do see Marietta kind of converging down this way, but so is Tiffin. So we have 5v4 currently in the bot lane, and they're going for the tower, and Marietta says, we're done, we're going to pull back. You can have the tower. We're not risking losing anybody right now.
Yeah, they knew the tower was going to go down, so if they had tried to do anything there, they could have very well lost the fight. And at this point, if they lose a fight, that could be an inhibitor tower or even probably an inhibitor at the very least.
Yeah.
Although, to say, it was interesting that Tiffin backed off. Cloud Drake's now up for another minute 17, so that wasn't the reason why they backed away. They must just went back to reset. It's the only thing I can think of. But once again, this gives Marietta a chance to stall out a little bit, try to clear vision, and that's what they're going to need right now.
Well, with that bot lane too, they had a tower with maybe a 3rd health. With all of them there, taking out that tower was probably what was going to happen either way. Why risk having a loss of Malzahar or a loss of Xayah just to try to save that 3rd health tower?
Yeah.
So Marietta getting a little bit of farm from their jungle here.
But
Trying to catch up here. They're behind.
From a gold perspective, though, they're not really gaining anything on gold. So all they're doing now is just trying to see if they can get more items that may help them in team fights. But we're still looking at about a 6,200 gold difference in this game. And part of it is just the extra tower. So if Marietta is able to get a couple of towers, then that may help them out. We do see some pretty good vision around Baron's side of the map for Tiffin. So they're probably trying to eye that Baron that's going to be up in 33 seconds, but Cloud Drake's going to be up in 5.
It does look like Jarvan may be heading that direction rather than heading for the Baron, since Cloud Drake is going to be going up right now. Nautilus does place a ward to get vision of the Drake.
It looks like Tiffin's going to head straight for the Drake as well. So this could go a couple ways. We may see Marietta try to do the engage onto Tiffin for the Cloud Drake, or we may see them try to go for the Baron while Tiffin goes for the Cloud Drake.
Well, they're going to be losing 10 seconds on the Baron before it's up, and by that time, I think this Drake is going to be down.
Yeah.
They are over there waiting on that Baron, but all they got was vision, and the Cloud Drake will go to Tiffin unopposed.
And we see the pinks come out for Tiffin. They know exactly where Marietta is. So then the question is, they're maybe looking for an engage. And actually, Marietta goes for the engage onto Nautilus, but he's not taking a whole lot of damage. Pretty tanky there with everything he's got.
Well, we see Sejuani charging in. I do believe she has her ultimate. She knocks Jarvan away. It looks like, or Jarvan got away anyway.
And Aatrox will actually burn his teleport, and the Sivir ult comes out to try to charge onto Xayah. And Aatrox actually pop his ults, and is actually very low in health. Malphite gets the flash engage and pops the Nautilus, and the Cataclysm actually goes onto Sivir. Sivir goes down, and then he got the ult onto Vladimir, has to pop the Hourglass, and he goes down before he can pop his pool. So that's the fight that Marietta needed to get 3 down for Tiffin, and they're going straight for Baron.
Yes, they did. We got some very low health on Marietta there. Xayah was almost dead. She managed to survive. This opens up a Baron buff for the whole team, as well as some extra gold XP. Maybe they can utilize this buff to be able to push some lanes, get these minions buffed up, and get some stronger pushes occurring for the Marietta side.
All right, so Marietta's got the Baron. So this game is not over yet. They closed the gold lead, so they're still down by almost 3,000 gold, but that's certainly better than the 7,000 that we were looking at a couple minutes ago. So can Marietta capitalize on this Baron buff? They need to use it to push out the lanes, try to get more gold, and see if they can use this as a good power spike to get them back in the fight. So it was a really good engage. I mean, that all started off with the flash ult by Malphite. It was what really got that started up. And the fact they were able to poke the Nautilus down early on.
Jarvan started that engage earlier on, but it wasn't a good time for a team fight, and then Sejuani pushed in. And I think what also happened with Tiffin, using that ulti Aatrox, trying to push in maybe a little further by himself than he should have, he took a lot of damage and had to pull out. And when that happened, Malphite found an opportunity to be able to come in.
And look what Malphite has equipped.
What's he got here?
He's got the Thornmail.
He's got Thornmail there with that Aatrox. Aatrox has a lot of damage there, and the Sivir as well. Sivir's a lot of her. Her ulti gives her some attack speed and some movement. So it's all about her blades hitting. So if Sivir's doing damage to Malphite, she's gonna be taking some damage of her own.
Yeah, and the thing that we also take note here is if you look at Malzahar, if he's 7-4-2 now from that team fight, and he's got 285 CS. He has over 100 more CS than Vladimir. So even though Vladimir has 1 extra kill, I would almost take a look. Yeah, Malzahar is way ahead in gold now than Vladimir, so he's definitely outscaled him. So this may be the chance that Marietta needs to use the So if they can keep Malzahar up and use him to carry the team, but he's now much scarier than Vladimir. So Marietta was able to take another using the Baron push. So let's see if they can continue the siege.
They need to utilize these minions and make sure that they're getting these buffed minions to do a little bit more damage, maybe rotating and making sure they're taking out multiple towers and not just focus on one lane. Last time, in the last game they focused on that mid lane, and that's all they did, and then they never rotated to the other lanes to try to keep pushing and keep progressing. So if they can make sure they're utilizing this Baron buff to its full potential, utilize these minions that are pushing, buff them with this Baron buff, take out as many towers as they can so that it's less safe for Tiffin to be able to push out.
And that's exactly what they just did there. They rotated down to the bot lane, they got the Baron buff on that Canyon minion, and it was able to take on the tower. And it looks like they're going to be eyeing this next tower, although most of the minions have been cleared. So this should be Marietta's cue to rotate. This is your cue to go. Now we see the engage onto Malphite. So this may be the fight that Tiffin's looking for, although we see the counter engage by the Malphite, and Nautilus goes down, the Cataclysm goes down, and then Vladimir actually is down now, so it's a double kill for Malphite, and most of Tiffin's very low. We see Zwani going down for Marietta, and Aatrox go down, and all that's left is Sivir.
Sivir's trying to escape. She's been throwing her weapon, but she's able to get away, not able to take anyone down with her. We do see the Malphite go down from Marietta team, but with no one except for Sivir able to defend right now, we may be looking at Marietta being able to at least take out these towers.
I think they're going to do more than that, because now they got the Sivir down. That is the ace, and with the death timers, that should be a game.
Yeah, we got over 20 seconds before anyone else can come back. That's going to be the Nexus, and that's going to be game 2 going to Marietta, which is going to put us in a 1-1, and we're going to be going to a game 3.
There you go. So even though Marietta fell behind, they waited. They basically did what Tiffin did in the first game. They stalled it out when they were behind, looked for the right engages with the Malphite. It was really huge, so it was a really good pick there with the Malphite. That made the difference that we were talking about earlier about that triple combo engage, and they were just able to get the picks they needed. And this time when they went for the Nexus, they didn't overstay their welcome.
Yeah, it was good because they looked at the late game. The opposite of what they did last time, where they got that early game lead. They looked at the late games, like Malphite. He might not be able to take on Aatrox right away, but he's really going to help us in that late game team fight. So what they did is they bided their time, made sure they didn't lose the game before they were able to kind of build up and take on those team fights, and then push in and make sure they watched and rotated and do things they didn't do last game.
All right, so we are going to get into game 3, so let me check some things.
So this is a game, a best of 3. We are 1-1 right now with Marietta versus Tiffin, so we're going to be going into the final game, and whoever wins this next one will be winning this series.
Yep, this is winner take all.
We'll be getting into our bans again. We'll see. I mean, the bans and choices we had this last time changed up who won here. Will they be banning the Jax again? Will Marietta look for some different bans? Will Tiffin choose Vlad again? Vlad was fairly strong and did a pretty good job until he got jumped on by that Malzahar, and that Malzahar was able to go in, get those silences, get the suppresses, and stop Vlad from being a threat to the team. And whenever they started focusing him and making sure they got their Malzahar on that Vlad, it really turned a lot of those team fights around. Sivir was able to stay in the back, utilizing her shields and stuff to be able to escape, but her by herself, she couldn't do too much. So, and then Aatrox was a threat in the early game. His ulti and stuff was still pretty strong, but there was especially that one engage where I think he maybe just pushed in a little too far, took a lot of damage for not doing very much damage himself.
I mean, I would expect Marietta will probably still ban the Jax. They saw that as a threat in game 1. I would expect Tiffin to ban the Malphite.
Okay.
Because I think he made he was the big factor in that game. Although Malzahar was able to scale up, get his CS, get his kills, get the gold he needed to do a lot of damage. But I would expect
taking out that character so that they don't have that in the late game. You know, he was a tanky engager. His Q still hit and did some decent damage, so he wasn't like you could completely ignore him, but with his engages and what he could do, I mean, he was a big threat to Tiffin at the time, so I could see a ban on him. I can see the ban on Jax staying. Otherwise, I don't know if too much would change. I'm interested, like, who are they going to, who's Tiffin not going to ban to make sure they can get the Malphite ban, if that's what they're
right, because they keep banning Kled, Ari, and Silas.
Yes, those have been the same bans both games so far. So do they forgo one of those 3 to make sure Malphite doesn't happen? Or do they make sure they ban Malphite if they want to get rid of Malphite, but do they risk Kled being picked if they're worried about Kled?
Yeah, so that is going to be tough. I mean, that's kind of the issue that Marietta had in game 2, where, okay, you're going to ban the Jax. What are you going to give up? What do you feel comfortable playing against? So they chose the Vladimir, and as we saw, it was a little scary at first, but they were able to outscale the Vladimir. They were able to plan for it. So I think they'll keep allow them to pick the Vladimir, but maybe they'll go with something else other than Vladimir. But I wouldn't expect a Vladimir ban. So right now we're still getting the lobby set up.
Yeah, but I think there was another glitch or something that occurred, so they kind of popped out to come back in, maybe.
I don't know. You might be right, but the invite has been sent to one of Tiffin's players. They may be talking things over, just like how we were talking, like Marietta was talking things over.
Yeah, what do we do? What do we change after that first game to make sure that we can not lose a second game so we can go into a third game here?
Yeah, because what happened there in the game two, it was almost the exact opposite of happening game one. So in game one, Marietta had the early lead. They were inches away from winning and then lost and couldn't recover. And then this time around, Tiffin had the lead, although it was a pretty strong lead. It even had like the Baron buff and heading towards. I don't think they got any of the inhibitors, if I remember correctly.
No, they didn't make it to the inhibitors at all, but they got to the last towers just before the inhibitors.
Right. So it was more of, I don't know if it was so much like overstaying anywhere, but more that Marietta found the right team fight they needed, and then they were able to snowball from there. So it was very similar to what happened. So this could be a very interesting game three. So those of you that have joined in, thank you for watching. Although, if I remember right, you guys have a stream at 2 o'clock, right?
Blindwave does have a stream around 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the people watching right now are watching from the host over at the Blindwave stream, getting ready for Eric's stream here at 2. So if you guys are from Blindwave, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. If you're not and you're someone else, thank you as well. We appreciate that as well.
Yep. So hello, Wave Riders.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So as we're waiting for things to get set up, so those of you who have hopped in and watching, this is Marietta College Esports. Marietta College up against Tiffin University as part of the Great Lakes Esports Conference fall season. We are at 1-1. So this has been a very exciting day overall for esports because we had our Rocket League match against Tiffin and we got 3-0'd against Tiffin. There were a couple of good goals, but just not quite enough to take that. And our Overwatch match, our Overwatch team was able to 2-0 Tiffin. So very proud of our Overwatch team. They've been working very hard. They've had some very tough losses. To be able to come with a win was
and that's their first win of the season so far.
It is their first
very
win.
Good job to the Overwatch team. We look forward to seeing more progression from them in the rest of the season.
So now we're at a 1-1 with Marietta versus Tiffin, which right now could go either way, just the way both teams are playing. So it's a matter of what are we going to see? Can we get the early game play from Marietta from game one with the late gameplay of game two? Or are we going to see the early game play from game two and the late game from game one? I hope we don't see that. That'd be a disaster.
Yeah.
We don't want that. Don't do that.
Yeah. No, what I'm excited. This is it's a close match. Both these teams are doing very well. We've seen a win from both teams so far. So depending on where we go from here and what happens next, just between these two teams, I'm enjoying it because it's so close.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be getting our bands and our picks here in just a second. They're finishing up. It looks like Tiffin has finished up some of their discussion, and they're joining into the lobby now.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get everything here set up for everyone. So Marietta has chosen red side for this, so Tiffin will be on the blue side. So as soon as we already have that up to you, so that way as soon as it starts, we are aware of it. So I think we're just checking a couple of other things here. So once we have, we should be starting.
Yeah, we'll be starting the bands and the picks here very soon. For anyone who's new, if you guys haven't watched before, every Saturday is Rocket League, League of Legends, and Overwatch. You'll be able to see those from Marietta against the various other colleges in the Great Lakes Conference.
Yep.
And then there's also streams. There's going to be one tomorrow for PUBG.
Yeah, so our PUBG team has been participating in Collegiate PUBG, and they've been doing reasonably well. Right now, they're like on the board of the top 16, and if they can maintain being the top 16 by the end of tomorrow, they will advance on to the grand finals. So that's going to be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Now, it's going to be on Collegiate PUBG's Twitch channel, so twitch.tv/Collegiate PUBG. We'll be hosting it here as well, so that way you could come to our Twitch channel and watch it from there. But I do recommend checking out. We have some really good players on our PUBG team. I mean, there's been some times where they've gotten some chicken dinners.
Good.
So
it's always good to get a chicken dinner.
All right, and we do see game 3 started up, and Tiffin starts the Kled. They do not want that Kled.
I mean, we do know that's one of the favorites of the top laner there. So Mordekaiser has been a ban every time for Marietta for these last 2 games. So it's definitely one that they don't want to see coming out.
What's interesting, though, is they did that in the first round of bans instead of the second round. They usually say that for the second round. So it's a matter of what are they giving up. They still ban the Jax. So I don't think they're afraid of the Vladimir. They were able to go up against it. I wouldn't expect necessarily Tiffin to go with the Vladimir first pick after that last game, but...
Well, who gets the last pick in this one? Marietta gets the last pick.
Marietta gets the last pick.
Even if they do get a Vlad, if they save it and make sure they can ban the Vlad or counter the Vlad with a Malzahar, that seemed to work okay last time, unless a Malzahar ban comes out.
But I think right now Tiffin's debating about whether to ban the Malphite or not, or go with the Silas. Although I wouldn't expect Marietta to first pick the Malphite if they leave that open.
And they ban the Malzahar. So the counter they would have for Vlad if Tiffin picks Vlad first here. And they banned the Vladimir. So there you go. So you see the responses, you see Tiffin go with, well, we're going to ban Malzahar because you guys didn't ban Vlad. Well, now they have to ban Vlad. And Tiffin picks Jarvan, which is one of the jungle picks for Marietta. So now we're going to have to see what Marietta responds with as far as their jungler.
I know Nox has some other jungle picks if he wanted to.
We've seen Sejuani from him before. Mm-hmm. We saw Zach before, which played out fairly well in one game. I think it didn't play out another game, but it varies a little bit. But yeah, he has some other picks for jungle, which is good.
Yeah, so I would expect probably the Sejuani. I don't know if they'll pick that right away. Maybe they will. Actually,
the Nocturne comes out.
He has been working on Nocturne. So
still having that presence where I don't know where the jungler is. I might be okay. You're probably not.
And all of a sudden you hear darkness. And then boom, dead.
So we do see a Nocturne coming out, which is a pretty good jungle pick. Mm-hmm. Maybe not quite. He can still be kind of tanky, but he also can have some damage and be a threat.
Yeah, so this tells me that Marietta is probably going to go with some global presence type composition. So they're going to go and pick the Rakan right away. So I could see Tiffin trying to pick the Xayah so that way they would deny Marietta the Xayah-Rakan combo. But even if they did that, that's not a problem because Rakan does still synergize well with other AD carries, even if you don't get the extra buff with it. But we saw the Rakan do pretty well the last game. It just being able to do the disengages, the charges, and the ults and so forth.
Yeah, his ulti is pretty good. He's able to engage and cause some problems and stuff too. So even if they do pick Xayah or don't pick Xayah, it still is a decent support for Marietta to have.
So now we see the Irelia. So this was one of the things that Marietta did not ban early. They decided to ban the Mordekaiser instead of the Irelia. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing that come out. So
Irelia could also be top or mid.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen her going either one.
Now the advantage is that Marietta gets last pick, so they can try to figure out where that Irelia is going to go. And we do see the Xayah picked as we predicted to deny that combination. But hopefully Marietta can try to figure out where that Irelia will go
to be able to kind of counter that. So we could see the ADC being picked here maybe, which would be a fairly safe selection because we already know what the ADC for Tiffin's going to be. Rakan can still have decent synergy with a few characters. We do see the Jinx again, which we saw in the first game. However, it was paired with Leona then.
Right, so I think this should be fine because Rakan can provide the shields and little extra things to help protect the Jinx, whereas with the Leona is great for stunning and then allowing Jinx to do damage, but there was nothing really there to actually protect the Jinx. So this is, I think, should be a fine pick. We see the Thresh and the Shen being banned, so Tiffin still does not want to see that Shen in the top lane.
So Thresh and a Nautilus. So we saw Nautilus support twice, I believe, in the bot lane, didn't we?
Did we see it in game one? I can't remember.
No, just game two. The first one was Xayah Rakan, and then our side was Leona.
Yeah, so
we did see Nautilus last time. There's the Malphite ban.
Yeah, so a lot of focus bans in the top and support. So this is going to be interesting with what Crespin decides to go with, because I would anticipate this being Crespin's pick, but he doesn't know if this is going to be an Irelia top or an Irelia mid. So they could decide to go. It looks like he's going to go with the Gangplank. I have no idea how Gangplank does against Irelia. So what they could do is pick a counter pick for Gangplank and then let Irelia be mid, but that does let Larson know it's Irelia mid and he can try to pick something counter it. Whereas if Gangplank does counter Irelia, so trying to do a little game theory here going on. So
there's Orianna, that's going to be a mid laner there, so we will be seeing Irelia go top lane and an Alistar coming out. So we have the support for Alistar with Xayah, and then we're going to be having Irelia top with Orianna mid and a Jarvan jungle. So who are we going to be seeing to counter the Orianna?
Well, Larson does have some options. I mean, a lot of his champions were not banned this time. Only the Ari and the Malzahar. So it does open up his pool. So I'm sure he has something that he would want to go with. It looks like he's going to bring the Syndra
back
out
from first game, right?
It does going to be the Syndra. Well, let me double check something. It might be, yeah, okay. Sometimes there's like an accidental pick, and yeah, sometimes there are accidental picks, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So yeah, that is definitely going to be a Syndra. So we should get game 3 to you in just a second. So as soon as they, well, at least the picking and banning all over again.
Yeah, we'll have that go through again here. And then we'll be getting into the game, and we'll see how this final game here in this series plays out of Marietta versus Tiffin, currently at a 1-1.
All right, so here we go. So at least the band pick phase. I keep saying, like, here we go, game 3, but we still gotta wait like another 4 minutes or so. It just feels like so long. But let's take a look at this composition while they're picking, because like what we already determined last time is that 3-player engage was really made the difference for Marietta. So it looks like that Tiffin's trying to go a similar route, because you have the Alistar that can charge in with the Jarvan Cataclysm, and then if you get the Cataclysm with the Orianna's ult, that can be very devastating.
Yeah.
So
if you can get them pulled in to the Cataclysm and trap a lot of them in there, not everyone might have a flash to be able to get out of that, or an ability to escape.
Right.
You know?
So that does seem to be what Tiffin's going to be aiming for, is just trying to get everyone grouped up, like disable them, stun them, and then just completely wreck. Like then you combo that with a Xayah and Irelia ult, like right there. That could be enough to get an ace. So Marietta's got to be very careful to not be grouped up on top of each other. That's going to make dragon fights and baron fights scary.
Yeah.
They have to watch that.
I'm interested here on how this Gangplank plays out as well, because it's not one that I commonly see in a lot of matches. So seeing how he plays out with his barrel placement, his oranges, all that kind of stuff. Like, how is he going to be able to deal with Irelia in the top lane?
Right. So I know Christmas has been working a little bit with Gangplank. One of the things that does concern me a bit with this composition is that we don't have that tanky front line that we had in the previous games. I mean, we have the Jinx and the Syndra from game 1, and they were very squishy. So we don't really, we do have the Rakan that can put like a shield or protect the Jinx a bit. So it's still a good combo there.
The thing that might be helping them this time, though, is that in that last one, they had Jinx and Syndra, and then they had 3 tanks, where when Jinx and Syndra melted, they had no damage then, where you might still have some damage from Gangplank or from Nocturne coming out, where you can't just ignore them just because they're tanky and nothing else.
It's a good call. Yeah, I think that might be what they're trying to do here, because, yeah, in that game 1, the win condition for Tiffin was kill Jinx and Syndra and you win.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that Marietta can do. But now there are 4 champions essentially here that can dish out a lot of damage. So they don't have necessarily a lot of the front line, but they do have damage from multiple threats. So yeah, as you said, even if they do focus down Syndra or Jinx, if Nocturne gets ahead, if Gangplank gets ahead, then they could try to carry the game.
Yeah, the other thing too is utilizing Nocturne's ulti. You could be in a team fight, after laning phase is done, be in that team fight, use that ulti to cause that darkness, maybe cut out some vision from maybe some of the back laners who are trying to stay back and do damage, and maybe they can't see as well to be able to do that damage to to the enemy team.
Plus, with the Syndra stun, and then you got Nocturne and Rakan that can go in the back line. Like Nocturne can go back there and assassinate someone while Rakan does his ulti charge to kind of charm everyone for a second. That may be enough time to disorient. You pop that with a Gangplank ult or even the barrel explosions. So there's some good... Actually, Mariette has some very good AoE damage when you take a look at what they have.
Yeah, it's very possible. Like team fight wise, it's going to be about... Tiffin teams looking like they want things grouped up, while the Marietta side of things with like Gangplank and whatnot, there is some group up damage you can have, but there's also some like selective target things you can go for as well with things like Nocturne and Jinx selecting an individual target. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. Number one, seeing how we get through the laning phase and who takes the lead there, because even whoever takes the lead there doesn't mean that's who's going to have the lead later on, as we've seen in the last 2 games.
Exactly. Yeah, so I know like the last game I was looking at, it's like, oh, this is not looking good, it's not looking good. But all of a sudden that team fight happens, and it's like, we're working our way back. It's not over yet. Yeah, so game's not over until the Nexus falls. Doesn't matter what the gold difference is. Doesn't matter what the kill difference is. Doesn't matter in the CS or any of that. So even if you're down by 6,000 gold, you find that one fight and you can work your way back, which is exactly what happened in game 2.
Keep your communication going. Don't tilt. Don't get upset about what's going on. Focus on what's going on now, what hasn't been working, and what can you change in the next team fight, or what can you do that can help turn the tide.
Right. So as we were talking about last game, we were concerned to make sure that Marietta does not take stuff from game 1 into game 2 and tilt from that. Now the question is, can Marietta still separate themselves from game 2? They had a good win at the very end. Can they make sure they don't get overconfident and try to push out and take risks in this game, because it is a completely different game.
Yeah. In game 1, I think they got tunnel vision on that mid lane, and they're like, "Oh, mid lane, we push down that, we're gonna win. You keep pushing that, we'll cause a fight, we'll win." And it turned out that it didn't work out for them. They pushed too far, overstayed their visit, and then lost because of that. Whereas in the next game, they took their time. They kept kind of rotating to different lanes. They utilized their Baron buff when they finally got the Baron there, and was able to keep pushing enough to cause to make the fights come to them in a fashion that they wanted them to come in.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. So there's still about 30 seconds left. So we're still kind of waiting for things to start up. Yeah, as we mentioned, I guess a programming note before I forget. So we mentioned the PUBG match.
Yeah.
That'll be 9 o'clock tomorrow. Next week, we will only have our Overwatch match. Because our Rocket League and League of Legends teams are on a bye week that week.
Okay.
But we will still have our Overwatch. That'll be at 11 a.m. next Saturday.
Okay.
We will have our next Rainbow Six match. We don't know when that will be next week. We'll know who our opponent is tomorrow, I think. So once we figure out who our opponent is, check with them to see when they're available. I would anticipate either a Wednesday evening or a Friday evening, because that seems to work pretty well for the past few weeks. But once we do know, we will put that up on Facebook and Twitter. So if you haven't followed us yet on Facebook or Twitter, please be sure to do so that way you know when our match is.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good way to stay informed on what's going on. Of course, you'll get notifications if you're following here at Twitch. But if you want to make sure you know ahead of time, instead of just, oh, they're live right now, well, I can't watch, make sure you guys follow over at Twitch or over at Twitter and or Facebook just to get those heads up. Alrighty, guys. So we are getting into the game here. Once we have this HUD set up, we'll switch over and show you guys what's going on.
Just make sure everything is loading.
We'll be seeing the teams take up their positions along the river. I don't imagine with it being a 1-1 any kind of like shifty little invades coming in or anything like that. So
I wouldn't think so.
I imagine playing it safe.
I mean, this is it. This is all the marbles. Winner takes all. And you don't want to do anything to give away an advantage early in the game. In fact, that makes me wonder, because in game 1, part of the reason why Marietta did so well in the early game was Tiffin was afraid to make a play. And so they conceded a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now, game 2, they were a lot more aggressive. So the question is, everyone knowing that this game, like whoever wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect them mentally? Are they going to still try to be aggressive? Like either side, are they still going to try to go for the plays and go for the win? Or are they going to play more conservative and a play like they're trying to not lose?
Yeah, be more defensive on everything and pull back and not fight too much. You need that balance, because if you don't want to be too overly aggressive and put yourself out there to where you're vulnerable, but you also need to, you don't want to be too conservative. You don't want to play too defensive, because you need to push yourself out there and take advantage of when that other team makes that mistake. So hopefully we see a balance between both teams here and have a good match, and I don't know, see who comes out on top and what route they decide to play.
Yeah, you just have to know when to play ahead. Like when you're ahead, how do you play ahead, and when to know how to play when you're behind and how to play defensively. Yeah. But
we see, we don't want to see them overstaying their visit when they shouldn't, but we want to see them engaging when they should. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm also excited to see how this gangplank plays against Irelia, which Marietta apparently was afraid of the first 2 games because it was one of their first bans both times. And we see an early engage down here in the bot lane. Speaking of going aggressive.
So we see Tiffin's play style this time around.
Tiffin's jumping right in there. Jarvan goes in. He gets his red buff, comes straight down the bot lane, and does a little bit of damage to Jinx and Rakan. They're going to be popping their potions and trying to get their heals back up here. Going to give a small little CS lead to Tiffin, but we'll see how it plays out here as we continue to go. Gangplank here giving some Little pokes here with his gun, keeping Aurelia, who's a melee, back a bit where she can't get as much harm. So we'll see. Maybe that'll help Gangplank here a little bit.
All right, so we don't see too much else going on. We did see that Marietta got a little bit of vision into Tiffin's blue jungle, so at least have maybe a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So they do spot out the Jarvan, so at least they know where he's at. So that should give Crescent at least a clue that you don't want to push too much because you may be looking at a Jarvan gank. Although I need to set. This is what happens when you're not in LCS order. So hold on here. There you go. That's better.
Alrighty, so we got the.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. This doesn't look right. Okay.
So we are seeing. I mean, mana consumption for Gangplank is much lower right now than Aurelia's, but he is getting some poke and getting the health down on Aurelia a little bit. We are going to be seeing a back from top lane. Nocturne kind of getting some vision there, seeing where the blue buff is and what the respawn might be on it. Yeah, in fact, actually, on top of that, we see Gangplank actually has a decent lead in CS about 4 minutes in the game. And we see a little bit of trading going here in the bot lane. Tiffin is staying pushed up here, so if they stay pushed too much, it may give a chance for Nocturne to be able to come in and get a gank.
Yeah, it's still going to be wild. I mean, Nocturne's way up in with his Gromps. But he is ahead in levels. He's already at level 3, and Jarvan's at level 2. And I think part of it is because Jarvan tried to go for that early gank early on. And they got the flashes from Brimstone Cowboy, but that's about it. But maybe he's going to try to go for something again. Or I guess he's maybe going to take the Scuttle Crab, it looks like.
Yep, he's taking that. He's kind of looking at bot lane a little bit, maybe, coming down this way. So maybe see Jarvan going again for this bot lane. He may be coming down here either for the jungle, but it looks like he's coming down here for the bottom lane's bush. He's going to come in from behind.
And Brimstone's getting very low, so it doesn't have his flash up, and Jarvan's is there, but they're not going to get anything out of it. Just a lot of damage and probably force him to back away.
It really wastes a lot of time for Jarvan there because I don't know if there was miscommunication, but we had the ADC and support from Tiffin pushing and doing damage sooner, so they were already retreating, and Jarvan did nothing in that engagement at all. So if maybe they would have waited just a little bit longer, maybe let Jarvan get into that lower bush and sneak on through, but we didn't get that.
And it's one of the reasons why Nocturne is ahead in CS compared to Jarvan.
And levels.
Levels in CS.
So we're seeing this range poke that Gangplank has is helping to keep this CS lead he has against Irelia. With right now he has a 10 lead. If he can keep his barrels and his gun and keep that placement of keeping her away from the CS to where she can't get that final hit, he may actually be able to come out on top against this Irelia. I know if she gets fed, she can be very scary, especially in a team fight.
Well, remember, they picked the Gangplank. I think they anticipated Irelia being top, so they picked the Gangplank going into that. So kind of like how they picked the Malphite going to Aatrox, there's a reason why they picked that Gangplank into Irelia. And it may be to have that early game advantage over her.
Yeah, I don't know how good Gangplank's going to be later on into the team fights and whatnot, but perhaps over Irelia in general, he's going to be a good choice here.
And we do see some pinks going out in the bot lane, so we may see Jarvan trying to make another play, but Cowboy will at least clear out some vision, and we get a pause. I want to see why. So let me check the chat here. It looks like the ping is coming out. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Marietta is experiencing
some internet issues.
So let me go check with that. I'm gonna step away real quick to find out what's going on here. I'll be right back.
All right. So while we see what is going on here and make sure that the internet issues aren't going to be a detriment to either of the teams here. We'll be getting back into the match here momentarily. Hopefully it's not an issue of any kind of restarts or anything like that, but we'll get back to it as soon as we can. Meanwhile, if you guys are watching, thank you, appreciate it. We're currently in our series here, Marietta versus Tiffin. It's 1-1, so this game is going to be the final game for the series as we get this here fixed and settled out.
Okay, so it looks like the ping is fine, or at least from what we're seeing, it'll be fine 3 minutes from what you're seeing. But they have resumed their play.
Okay,
I don't know
so they
how
got it
long
fixed
ago
here
it was.
a little bit.
I think it just spiked for a second, but it does seem to be better. But we just kind of have to wait for the spectator delay for the actual match to pop up. So let me check something here real quick. So I guess I gotta take care of something else as well. So I just have to take over here. Let me.
All right, guys. So keep in mind that if you guys are following and subscribed, we will be having more League and Overwatch and Rocket League matches every Saturday. However, next Saturday is only going to be Overwatch since there's a bye week in the other teams. As of right now, we've been having our League of Legends match here, which is a one-on-one. So this will be the last one of the series. It's been very close. Both teams have taken early leads in one game or the other, and the teams that have been behind have managed to come out on top. So in the first game, we actually saw Marietta taking an early lead, and going against Tiffin, they managed to take their lead. They did some decent damage. They had some decent plays, but they overstayed a few battles and actually fell behind later on in the game, allowing Tiffin to come out on top and actually secure the win. When we got into game 2, we saw a similar situation. However, Tiffin took an early lead. Where maybe some of the motivation was lost, the momentum and whatnot from the first game, but Marietta was able to hold back. They kind of delayed, stalled the game a little bit the best they could, and went into a late game battle and actually managed to win. So we're looking to see here so far, neither team has lost any fights. There hasn't been any kills or anything yet. So we're going to be seeing here Jarvan coming back down here bot lane again, trying to get a gank on this bot lane. He's been watching this bot lane heavily. Nocturne currently in the jungle back there behind Jarvan. Pushes in, sees Jarvan retreating, so he pulls back. But Syndra coming back down in as well. Looks like he's waiting for him. They're coming around. They're going to be collapsing onto this Jarvan. Jarvan manages to escape through the jungle. Syndra chasing in after him, throwing some at him, and not enough to be able to secure the kill. Meanwhile, Alistar coming back in after the Syndra. Looks like Alistar's going to be retreating, and this could equal a Cloud Drake now that they pushed the jungler back. But doesn't look like they're going to be going for that right now. So very close. Jarvan almost got taken out and gave Syndra first blood, but he managed to escape just enough. It did burn Syndra's flash, getting over that wall. So we're going to be seeing if that's going to result in a gank later on for Syndra in the mid lane against Orianna. Currently, she's been able to actually have a high enough CS lead against Orianna, and keeping a little bit of a gold lead on that. So as we continue here, we're going to be seeing Gangplank getting attacked by Irelia. Ooh, and we had a disconnect. Still having some internet issues apparently right now. Not the best time to have a disconnect, considering that we have a top lane battle going on right now between Irelia and Gangplank. Irelia is very low, but she's diving in with all of her abilities right now, so she must feel confident enough that she can take on this Gangplank and do some decent damage.
A summoner has reconnected.
We do have the summoner reconnecting here. And we'll be seeing what we have here once we resume play. Currently looking though, I mean, CS lead wise for Gangplank is still in the lead. Nocturne still has a decent lead on the Jarvan, almost double the CS, as well as having at least one level on Jarvan right now. Orianna's behind a little bit in the CS. Levels are similar in most of the lanes right now. Alright, here we go with Irelia pulling back and getting out of there. Still really low. She's going to have to back because she's too low to really stay at this tower right now if Gangplank decides to just do some barrels and using his Q. Alright, we do see Nocturne trying to get some placements of some wards and stuff around the river. We do see Nocturne coming in with his ulti on the Xayah. Not enough damage though from Jinx to be able to secure the kill on that. We still have Nocturne down the bot lane. They're going to be pulling back, and we'll see the lane reset here probably. Maybe enough to scare them back to where they maybe can take a Drake. It looks like they're pushing up, and it looks like they are going to be starting this Drake here. Bot lane is busy with the minions for a second. Jungle is in the top jungle. He just backed. So we're going to be seeing this Cloud Drake probably taken for free. Syndra coming down here just to help make sure that they can secure the kill on this Cloud Drake. And there we go. So they took out the dragon. We've seen the rotation down to bot lane. Alistar trying to move up, but he's flashing to try to get out of there. Lots of damage going on to Alistar, but with the tower right there, they're not going to be able to get too much damage on without someone diving, and there's not enough health on anybody right now to be able to do that. So they're going to be pulling back. We'll see Ori, meanwhile, mid lane, doing a push of her own, doing some damage to this tower. Syndra's returning back to lane. Jarvan's going to be going up to top lane here and chasing this gangplank down. Jarvan's trying to get away, or trying to chase down this gangplank, cutting off the gangplank who's trying to get away. Syndra's going to be kind of covering him a little bit, and Jarvan's going to be using that to get over the wall. So we'll be going back into our laning phase again here. Still very close match. We're almost at 10 minutes here now, just crossing the 10-minute threshold, and there's still yet to been any kills on either team. Only a little lead, about 1,000 gold for Marietta right now. So as far as any leads, there's not much of one. There's a little bit of CS lead. There's been the Drake that has been taken by Marietta. There hasn't been any towers yet. Maybe a little bit of plating on the mid lane, I think. The bottom Marietta tower has taken a little plating damage as well, but for the most part, this has been a very, as we talked about in the beginning, how are these two teams going to play? Are they going to be overly aggressive? Are they going to be a little bit more conservative? We're seeing kind of a mix. We're seeing some aggression, but not enough to where they're wanting to dive too much, and it looks like there may have been a disconnect here, and they've taken them out, and there's been another disconnect as well. Alright, so we've had we've had every team member for Tiffin disconnect here, so I'm not sure what's going on right now. I don't know if the entire team is having internet issues in. But Marietta is, they're taking the advantage here. They're attacking the towers, pushing through. They did get a first blood, but it looked like they might have been disconnected or having internet issues when that occurred. So I'm not sure what the ruling is as far as the guidelines for the conference and everything, but there are definitely some internet issues happening for Tiffin right now. It looks like Gangplank's going to get a kill onto Irelia utilizing his ulti and his barrels. Irelia unable to escape from that. Meanwhile, bot lane has very little health left on this turret, so we might see it go down, and then will there be an engage here? We have Nocturne and Syndra down here. We see Jarvan coming in trying to help a little bit, but Syndra gets a stun on him. Nocturne using his ulti to dive onto this Jarvan, and then we see the bot lane AD carry and support left alone between this tower. But they're able to get some damage onto Nocturne. They were able to kill Rakan, but Rakan was not the main damage there. They also get a kill, then Marietta kills off the Xayah. Alistar kind of chasing them down because Ori's coming down a little bit. He wants to help this Orianna. There's some low health on Marietta, but Ori's chasing and maybe chasing a little too far. Alright, so everyone's kind of backed off. It was a decent engage. Syndra was able to come down through the jungle, come up behind Jarvan, get a stun on him in the jungle, allowing Nocturne to use his ulti to jump in there and secure that kill. Meanwhile, the ADC and the support were able to get the kill on the Rakan, but they still left all the damage to be able to finish off the Xayah and secure 2 kills there. So it was a 2-for-1 trade, leaving us with 1 kill, the first kill for Tiffin, 4 kills for Marietta currently. We're seeing a little bit more vision popping up here, some more wards and stuff in the bottom of the jungle for Marietta, as well as for Tiffin, so the various vision being placed because bot lane is struggling right now. I don't know if some of this is the internet issues, I don't know if some of it is, I know the first blood was internet issues, so that may be kind of complementing this snowballing effect from Marietta here, but we do see Irelia trying to utilize her abilities to do some damage to Gangplank, but there was not enough damage there. Hardly any, really, to Gangplank. Gangplank's managed to almost kill Irelia there. She's going to forced to back away, to back off, and she's behind by about 30 CS right now. Alright, we do see a lot of placement here around the Drake, which is spawned. Meanwhile, there's some split pushing coming from Marietta, trying to get rid of this tower here in the mid lane. And they're going to be chased off by Jarvan and Alistar coming up here. We do see some pings around the Rift Herald, which is going to be going away here in a little while. So they're wanting to make sure they get that, or at least get some vision around it. We do see Tiffin coming in here to get this Drake. Marietta, I believe, is going to forego that and make sure they get this mid lane turret here. Maybe get a tier 2 turret if they don't pull back from Tiffin here, which looks like they're not going to be pulling back. So Marietta's going to be doing some heavy damage to this next tower. Orianna's coming back to try to maybe stop them from pushing, but she's going to be too late, and Marietta's going to escape into the jungle above mid lane. Rakan may be getting caught out here. Alistar coming up. He's getting a knock up. Rakan escaping, using his W to escape through there. Irelia, meanwhile, trying to hold the top lane the best she can. She is behind by a good bit of CS and a kill, so her gold deficit is pretty high right now. We do see a Cataclysm catching off. Who did we catch there? I couldn't tell who we caught there, but we do see the Nocturne with a counter engage coming into the back lanes and able to take out Xayah. And they also lose Alistar as well. Irelia coming down from the top lane trying to help out, but she's going to be caught off by this Gangplank, which she hasn't been able to handle in the top lane at all yet. So that's going to be an ace there for Marietta. Only losing the Nocturne, the Cataclysm from Jarvan, they did catch one person, and it kind of split the teams a bit. But with that Nocturne jumping into that back lane to be able to do that extra damage to Xayah and jumping onto Orianna as well, they were able to do enough damage to their heavy DPSers that Alistar, Jarvan, they didn't have enough damage. Even Irelia coming down trying to help wasn't able to do enough damage to anybody. Gangplank was able to deal with her pretty easily. So we do see Marietta being able to grab this Rift Herald. We may see that being popped up maybe in the mid lane, and trying to get this inhibitor tower. Or we may see it in one of the other lanes trying to get those tier 2 towers. All right, so we do have a almost about 9,000 gold deficit right now for Tiffin, as they're trying to get some jungle gold. They're trying to just get some CS, get a little gold, get a little XP, because they're all behind on both actually. So we see a little bit of a split push from Irelia trying to get that bot lane. Gangplank has rotated down there to stop her from getting that tower. Meanwhile, Rakan is coming down as well. We may be seeing a gank on the Irelia, but Irelia is going to be pulling back. And Rakan turned around too, so we didn't see anything there. We do see the support from Tiffin looking in the jungle, trying to make sure that they can cut off any kind of engage onto that Irelia. We're kind of sit around the Drake pit here, but we still have over 2 minutes before that's going to be respawning. So maybe just getting vision of River, trying to make sure they're as safe as they can be to try to push these lanes, because they're missing a lot of towers right now. Tiffin trying to stay grouped up, kind of running around, not sure really where to go. Most locations are not safe for them to push. If they leave mid lane, it's going to leave mid lane open for Marietta to be able to push in and take an inhibitor. But it's not safe enough for them to be able to push in at the mid lane either, because they don't have any towers to retreat to. We do see the Rift Herald going up in the mid lane, so we're going to see most likely a team fight happening here around the mid lane as this Rift Herald comes through. There is a Jarvan in the jungle. He does get stunned again by Syndra. We see Alistar and Xayah trying to stop this Rift Herald from attacking this mid lane tower. It will get a charge off. Meanwhile, Marietta has gone bot lane to take out a tier 2 tower. They've secured the Jarvan kill, and they will secure this tower as well. The rest of Tiffin has come down bot lane to try to stop this next tier from being taken. But I mean, Marietta, one of the things we didn't see before was in the first game was the rotation, and in this one we're seeing the rotation happening where they're utilizing that Rift Herald as a strong push in the mid lane to make sure they can secure a kill in the bot lane. Meanwhile, through that whole segment 2, we also saw a lot of wards placed by Marietta. We have several in the river, around Dragon. We saw some placed down through the jungle. They're really hindering this Jarvan, who is currently about 15 CS behind Nocturne. He doesn't have any kills. He has 1 assist. Meanwhile, Nocturne's been able to secure 1 kill for himself and assist with 5 other kills as well. So we see Alistar engaging on this Syndra, and a Cataclysm coming out on Syndra. Syndra's going to use her Hourglass to try to stay alive, but Syndra's going to be taking out Irelia, but shut down by Xayah herself. Meanwhile, Alistar's trying to get away, utilizing some health. There's going to be a flash from Gangplank to finish off that on the Alistar. Meanwhile, Nocturne chasing down this Orianna, not letting her escape to make sure that he can secure the kill there as well. Xayah going to be the last member of Tiffin, struggling for her life to make sure she can get out of this jungle. This is going to be opening up the Drake so that Marietta can secure this one. They only lost Syndra during that, so they're fairly open to be able to push a few lanes, to be able to get this Drake. Maybe also get a few wards around Baron to make sure they're ready on the next team fight to maybe push up, grab Baron, and help utilize that for their pushing as well. But currently we're going to be looking at Tiffin trying to restabilize their team here, make sure they can keep the remaining towers they have from falling.
All right, so you're gonna have to fill me in.
All right, so we've been having several team fights going on. Most of them have fallen on Marietta's side. There's been a few times Jarvan has been caught out in the jungle. Syndra has gotten some very good stuns onto the jungle walls, able to secure those kills. However, the first blood in some of the earlier kills were after 10 minutes, but it did happen around the time that 4 players from Tiffin disconnected.
Yes, yeah, they did. That's one of the things they called me about, that they had a lag spike too, just as we had a lag spike there. So it looked like that may be part of they decided to play it out. So a lot of respect for Tiffin for that. I don't know if their connection's any better or not, but apparently their connection kind of affected the match. And we see Larson getting the kill onto Legends.
Yeah, so we see Jarvan going down real quick here. Team fight pushing in towards this top tier 2 tower. Irelia coming back to be able to help here because she was currently split pushing the bot lane. They've got some vision. Marietta has some vision around the Baron, so they may be looking at trying to get this Baron, especially with the jungler currently being down. But he's going to be up here in about 5 seconds, so they don't have too much time. They may be trying to pull that way, cause a team fight to occur, because currently they have about a 10k lead in gold right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to go for the Baron. I mean, Jarvan's already back up, so I would not expect them to try to go anything this early, especially it's only 22 minutes into the game. But we do see that Marietta does have a 10,000 gold lead, but I think that's part of because of the connection issue they had. That second pause was because there was a client bug, so they had to restart the client. Gotcha, so I don't know if that was said.
Yeah, there was a reconnect during it. So there was one pause where they said about high ping. There had been another pause then when someone disconnected and then reconnected. And then there was another time when there was no pause and 4 players disconnected and then came back in.
And the 5th person probably wasn't able to get the pause. So yeah, that probably made a huge difference in the game. You hate to see those things happen. It
was just before a disconnect happened is when the first blood occurred, and it was someone who was standing and not attacking.
Okay.
So they just stopped and weren't doing anything when that occurred. So so the internet issues did start the first kills happening because there was a lot of there were a lot of engages happening, but there was a lot of disengaging because they didn't overly commit to anything. So
so it looks like there Brimstone overstayed his welcome a little bit and got shut down, but Larson was able to get a kill onto Irelia.
Yeah, Irelia has been shut down a lot by the Gangplank. He's been able to handle the Irelia pretty much by himself, including a team fight he had earlier. Irelia came down to try to help. Gangplank came down as well and kept her from doing pretty much anything.
And we see what's going on. Looks like Nox and Crescent were able to take out the bottom inhibitor. And the minions are already crashing into the Nexus tower, so Tiffin's going to have to respond to that bot lane pressure that now that the super minions are going to be going down there.
Yeah, one thing we've been seeing this game is Marietta has been doing more rotations. We did see earlier Marietta secured the Rift Herald, and then they used it in the mid lane on the the inhibitor tower, but then they rotated bot lane and took out the tier 2 tower as a team while they had to deal with the Rift Herald for Tiffin. So they were using a lot of rotations to try to make sure they're upping their gold for the team and also pushing so that there's less safe locations that Tiffin can be. We do see some wards going down around Baron. We see everyone hiding in a bush here. We may be getting ready to see a jump onto Tiffin if this Alistar pushes up too far on his own. They jump on him and do some damage, and they get the kill on Alistar.
Although Marietta burned quite a few ults to make that happen. They burned looks like 3 ults just to get the Alistar, and now we see them going straight for the Baron.
Do you see Gangplank coming up behind, perhaps? We do have Tiffin coming up here trying to stop this Baron from getting taken by Marietta. Meanwhile, Rakan and Gangplank are behind, taking on this Irelia. And they are going to have to retreat because the rest of the team is coming up to help Irelia here.
So it's a good ult there by Brimstone to put the damage onto Irelia that forces it to back off. Now they're waiting for Alistar to come in, so we may see another team fight here for the Baron. And the Oriole connects with the Nocturne and does end up taking him down. Although Xayah goes down for Tiffin as well.
You see some damage coming up here on the Alistar. Alistar trying to knock away the Jinx and healing himself, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it away from this Rakan and Jinx. Meanwhile, the Oriana's coming up behind them, and Jarvan's coming up from in front of him, so they're going to get pinched between these two Tiffin members here. Cataclysm goes out, but Jarvan goes down, but they're stuck currently inside this Cataclysm. But Oriana's going to be pulling away. She's not going to try to take it on a 2v1.
And they're already pinging the mid inhibitor, so they're going to get this inhibitor, and they might, I don't know if they're going to try to go for more.
It looks like they're pinging up here at the top lane to get tier 2, rather than trying to push in and overstay their welcome in that Nexus, which is a safer option is to back away, take out that tier 2, and push on all lanes.
They're learning their lesson from game 1.
They are learning their lesson. So now you're going to be seeing super minions in mid lane and bottom lane, and it's going to make it easier to push top lane because you have to make sure someone's dealing with those other lanes of those super minions. So we see them pulling away. Baron's still not taken by either team just yet, but we do see Nocturne down at the Drake currently. He's taking on the Drake alone right now. He should be fine taking that. I don't think Tiffin's going to be able to come up and do anything with that. They're busy keeping their base intact. Now with these super minions as well, it may be a good time to possibly have Marietta kind of sneak in and try to take this Baron while they're if they can get these lanes to get pushed.
Well, I don't
having these super minions on both of these.
It depends if they do it at the same time. They have to do it so that someone has to respond to the mid lane and the bottom lane. If they can do that, then that would give Marietta a chance to go for the Baron. And they have to do it quick though, because if they clear the super minions and then work their way back up, I mean, we do see. Actually, never mind. I thought like Irelia's teleport is down, so like if you had Irelia split push, like right now she can't teleport. We could be looking at a 5v4 fight, but there was not much that Irelia could do because she can't teleport in.
That's what hindered them earlier too. She had it down. The only thing she could do was back and then run to top lane to try to assist. Which she backed just now because of everyone around Baron. There is damage going on to Baron here, but Tiffin's going to come up here and try to contest this. We see Alistar here in the front lines, and Nocturne uses his ulti. They burn down Jarvan, they burn down Alistar. All that's going to be left are the carries because Irelia is not here. She was down bot lane. She had to back and run all the way to Baron.
But she is working her way back up, and they're going to catch out the Xayah, looks like.
They do catch the Xayah, but then Irelia comes in here, and is she going to be able to clean up a few of these members of Marietta? She gets the kill They get the kill on Nocturne, they get the kill on Rakan, but then she's going to go down. We still have Gangplank and Syndra and Jinx.
And that is an ace. And we're going to see the double teleport come in. And with the super minions down there, that may be enough to finish the game.
We have who is it?
Alistar, yep.
And Jarvan both up right now. So maybe we'll get these towers and then maybe back off from here. Unless they think they can get one of these or both of these down before the rest of the team gets back. Which they do manage to take out Alistar and Jarvan, and they take the game. There it goes.
Although I will admit that I do feel a little bit bad for Tiffin because a lot of it was because the internet connection did spike.
Yeah, I mean, up until the disconnects, the 2 pauses happened, and we knew they were having issues. But up until the disconnects, there hadn't been any kills on either side. They've both been playing it kind of cautiously, but slightly aggressive. So once that happened, that is when it went to 1-4 as far as kills. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when Marietta started to get a lead, and then they kept it. And I don't know if the internet issues continued causing problems as they went from that disconnect, or if it, smoothed out. But yeah, so there was definitely some issues there with the internet playing at least some factor in the earlier game of that match.
All right, but with that, Marietta does take the series 2-1, so congratulations. So I'm going to go check to see if anyone wants to do an interview real quick. Okay. So I'll be right back 1 second here.
All right. So while he sees if we have anyone for an interview on the Marietta side there, I want to thank you guys for joining us for this League of Legends series. Marietta being able to come out on top over Tiffin in 2-1 in some very close matches. Both teams did a very good job. And from what we saw in the series here, it also showed some, I believe, learning just in the series from Marietta, watching don't get too tunnel visioned and making sure that you're rotating, taking your objectives. Don't look at this is the win. Make sure you're pushing and progressing, your team and not falling behind and letting things stall out.
Oh. Do I need to wear this?
Yeah, you don't have to. There's no audio coming through or anything, so you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Alrighty. Yeah, let me. Which folder is it in?
Do the be right back. We're back.
This one here?
Top middle. Camera.
There we go. All right, guys. I am here currently with Brimstone.
Yep,
right?
That's me.
All right, I thought so. We saw Brimstone earlier today in Overwatch as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was there too.
And then we saw him here in League of Legends. In League of Legends, you played as the ADC, correct?
Yeah. So I was Jinx first game, third game, and then
you were a Xayah in the second game, correct? All right. So in the first game, you guys took an early lead.
Yes.
And then things kind of started to fall apart, and you guys end up losing that first game of the series. What happened there?
Honestly, it was kind of just some rough engages, and then what would end up happening is the backline would have gone demolished as we were all engaging in. Something I noticed pretty early on, the Xin Zhao. Usually Xin Zhao is kind of an early champ, and he kind of falls off later, but his ult, it lets him shield damage whoever's inside of it from outside. Okay. So as a Jinx, and I think we had a Syndra as well.
Yeah, you had a Jinx and a Syndra game.
All our abilities far away. So the reason we demolished them in team fights early is because we landed everything on top of them immediately, and they would insta die. But when Xin Zhao was able to ult in the later fights, it means we were denied all our damage to kill them, and then they had a Jax and a Zed who just jumped on our backline, killing us, which was all our damage. So
yeah. I mean, most of their team during that fight seemed to be much more single targeted. So yeah. I did see the Syndra, for example, took a barrier over Zed's Ignite. So I figured it was trying to help just mitigate a little bit of that damage from fighting that Zed.
Yeah.
But yeah, once the backline seemed to fall, all you guys had were tanks, which had no extra damage.
Exactly.
So once you guys had that match, you guys kind of changed gears a little bit into the second one. What did you guys look at to change, and what happened that altered the second match?
We kind of ended up going for more, since we were red side, we had the counter picks. So we decided to go more of a safer comp that still kind of wanted to play aggressive if it could, and then throughout the mid game just push for the win. And what ended up happening was more the counter, which was our Malzahar versus their Vladimir, ended up really winning there. So because of the way as early on, like the Vladimir would just kind of like run up on me, and I was just basically out of the fight every time or dead, which really stunk.
Yeah.
But because later on when we had the Vladimir around, the Vladimir just ults, and because it's a suspension, right? Like he can't do anything, so we have to just focus.
You get
him
the
down.
silence down, you get the suspension, and you can't move, and then you take him out. So yeah, once the Vlad was able to be taken care of, a lot of their damage started to leave because they had a little bit more tanks on their side, so they had less damage.
Yeah.
One thing it looked like too in the first game, you guys were pushing mid lane, and you kind of kept pushing mid lane through most of the first game. But then during the second game, it looked like you guys started working a little bit more on rotating and trying to make sure you guys would, like, go to these objectives, go to these objectives.
Yeah, they had Sivers, so the wave clear was just a bit stronger sometimes. So, but if we had like waves pushing on other ends, we had the Baron, so it was like just rotate immediately. Like we can take a turret easily for free because they have to follow us and match us. So we were just trying to like play the map a lot more rather than, because I think one of the things is we went for like an early like Nexus win, but we like overstayed a little bit there as well in the first game. So
notice that one of the other ones you had in the third game was your use of the Rift Herald. You guys played that in the mid lane, and then you guys left it.
Yeah.
Was that part of your plan for the rotation of that and trying to secure objectives?
Exactly. So we realized that like honestly, there wasn't a really great place to use the Herald. The Herald announces like where it's coming, and you can see it on the map.
Yeah.
So we use it as more of a distraction play. They have to answer it, or else it just starts destroying towers. And so we had a wave bot lane though.
Okay.
So like we could just like easily push down that bottom turret. So
okay, and you don't want to just let Rift Herald run amok on your inhibitor tower.
Yeah, generally not. So it's a bad idea. It like halves most full health turrets, and then if you get any armor damage on it, just.
Okay. And then through the games, what made you guys kind of change up some of your picks and bans as you went through? Because we saw there was a few characters that stayed there, like Mordekaiser. But as you went through, a lot of things kind of changed up. And in the last game, you guys got Rakan, but you didn't get Xayah.
Yeah.
Was there a reason that you guys went for that and didn't pick both of them at the same time?
It was more like we kind of knew what their ADC was going to do. And when we noticed that, I believe it's Jarvan first pick, like we kind of figured that it was going to be kind of, and they also banned our Malzahar early on. So they were trying to like focus ban a little bit on certain things. But what we ended up doing, whatever we were doing, I lost my train of thought.
So they banned the Malzahar.
They banned the Malzahar, and so they were trying to focus ban a little bit. So when we got in to get rid of the Jax, Mordekaiser, and kind of just focus the top lane a bit more, just to make it an easier matchup, because we wanted to run the Gangplank for some global pressure. So as for like, we don't really need the Xayah and Rakan together, and it ended up not like really needing it for our comp, especially considering they were trying to go full wombo as the draft went on.
Gotcha.
So.
Was there a reason that you also let the Irelia fall through? Because that was one of your bans that you guys made sure you did first in the first two games. I wasn't sure if you guys were afraid of that one, but then she kind of didn't play too much into your guys' third game, really.
Yeah, so basically our coach and the team kind of like figured that it wasn't going to be such a huge deal to let them have the Irelia, just because we had more of a global pressure. Gangplank isn't going to really mind fighting Irelia at all because he just farms. So usually it's like a matchup thing, and then later on, if like fights start to happen, we can easily play around with the Jinx traps and Syndra stun. Like she has to run up to us and dash first,
yeah, she
and
has
also
to get
be
on
a
top
bit
of
fed
it
as well.
Yeah,
right. So,
and Gangplank did a pretty good job of keeping that Irelia back, where her farm, like she wasn't able to farm too easily with his pokes and his barrels and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But no, you guys did a good job. It's good to know that you guys didn't get lose your momentum because of that first game, and then go in that second game, and it looked rough in that second game. But you guys were able to, it looked like you guys were able to kind of stall enough to kind of get back and keep your objectives rolling.
I have to give props to Brandon, the mid laner, because he really carried on the Malzahar, to be honest. So he knew the counter pick in the matchup, and he was able to like succeed on like picking it and like doing well with it, right? Because we were having a pretty rough time that second game early on. So.
All right. Well, good job to you. Both teams. They were good matches. It's too bad there was some internet issues there on that last match.
I wasn't sure what was up with that. It seemed to clear up later on. So, and they decided to play through it.
Yeah. So respect to Tiffin for doing the last game and playing through with it, because you guys, like, there was some in that last game. we were wondering if you guys were going to go aggressive, if you guys were going to be more conservative. Both teams were kind of had some aggression there, but there was a little bit of lack of like overcommitting and killing yourself. So you guys went into past 10 minutes before anyone died. And then the first death happened during one of the, like, 4 players disconnected or something like that occurred. So
Yeah.
So sadly there was that there, but other than that, like, both teams played really well. So you guys did a very good job. You did a good job coming back into that second game as well. Yeah. So look forward to seeing the rest of you guys' season. I believe next week you guys have a bye week.
Yes.
You get 2 weeks now to train before the next match then.
A little bit. We'll be watching Worlds for League
there you go.
bit as well. So, but I'm really happy with both Overwatch and League winning today.
Yeah.
So it's actually really awesome.
Well, good job.
Especially Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch, that was their first win of so good job with that as well. So you guys had two wins too. So
yeah, I guess personally.
Yeah, so you got to be in both of those. But no, thank you guys. You guys did a good job. Thank you to everyone who's here viewing. We appreciate it. Make sure you guys follow on Twitter and Facebook as well if you want to get any heads up on what's coming. There is going to be a host here for the PUBG team tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune into that around 9 p.m. But besides that, thank you, Brimstone, for joining me, doing the interview. Thank you for playing. We'll see you guys all next time.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.